Chapter 760. A 5th-grade mid-grade Gui water essence would only cost a little more than 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. 12,000 for this item was already a huge premium. The entire Huang clan lived on this rare treasure island. There were 6th-grade spirit veins on the island and no other small spirit veins, so there was no need to cultivate them. If they were only buying it to refine magic tools, there was no need to spend such a high price. The reason he stayed here was to obtain the 5 elements essence. Who knew how long it would take for a piece to appear? Naturally, he couldn't let it go. He raised the price, 13,000. Hearing this, young Master Huang panicked. By bidding such a high price, he was telling others that this item was his. The other cultivators didn't dare to bid any more for fear of offending the Huang clan. This person dared to be so arrogant. He clearly didn't care about the Huang clan. Young Master Huang warned, "Dao Yu, my Huang clan wants this item. If you still don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being merciless." Just as he finished speaking, the auctioneer snorted, "Young Master Huang, this is my Scarlet Flame sect's territory. It's not your Huang clan's place to behave atrociously. If you dare to provoke us again, even old Master Huang can't protect you." Young Master Huang's anger was not small. "I'm just talking to Dao Yu. Even the 3 major forces of the 7 Stars Alliance can't do anything about it. As long as I don't do anything, your Scarlet Flame sect can't do anything about it." At this moment, Wang Daoyuan finally understood what was going on. No wonder young Master Huang personally came to bid for the item instead of making a private deal. It seemed that the Huang clan and the Scarlet Flame sect were not on good terms. The auctioneer was a little impatient. "Are you going to bid or not? If not, the Gui water essence will belong to Dao Yu." Young Master Huang snorted and didn't say anything else. Now that the Gui water essence had become a hot potato, no one dared to bid anymore. After the auctioneer announced the deal, the competition for the Gui water essence was settled. After that, a few other valuable magic tools were auctioned. However, there were none that Wang Daoyuan needed, so he didn't bid anymore. A female golden core cultivator came up with a jade box. She looked even more solemn than the Gui water essence from before. In terms of appearance and figure, this female cultivator was 1 in a million. To be able to cultivate to the golden core realm, his talent must not be bad. It would not be difficult for a female cultivator like her to marry into a major force. Yet, she was here as a maidservant. The Scarlet Flame sect's methods were quite strong. The auctioneer took the jade box and said with a smile, "I'm afraid many of the cultivators here are here for this item." After saying that, he opened the jade box, and a rich astral energy gushed out. This is a level 5 stellar core. Everyone here is a golden core and yuanying cultivator. Everyone here is clear about the uses of a stellar core. By absorbing pure yin and pure yang qi, it could be converted into astral energy. The power of the stars could strengthen the physical body and divine sense. Regardless of whether it was a golden core cultivator preparing to break through to the nascent soul realm, yuanying, or soul formation cultivators, they all needed the power of the stars. This star core is 3 inches in diameter, and the starting price is 30,000 high-grade spirit stones. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to bid for this item. He only had about 60,000 high-grade spirit stones to begin with. Although he had earned some spirit stones from selling elixirs and dharma artifacts in the past year, it was only about 70,000. He had already spent 13,000 on the Gui water essence, so he had less than 60,000 left. In the Sea of 7 Stars, if one could cultivate to the yuanying level, the value of a stellar core would naturally be much higher than that in Beiyuan. Even a level 4 stellar core was worth 1 to 2,000 high-grade spirit stones. The starting price of this stellar core was 30,000, and it was also an extremely valuable item. The market price was 70 to 80,000. Moreover, Wang Daoyuan did not lack this item. There were 2 more stellar cores in the spiritual pearl space, and 1 more in the meteoric fire-controlling gourd. With the purple aura, the 2 stellar cores produced enough astral energy for him to use. On the other hand, the competition between young Master Huang and a few cultivators from the local forces was very intense. In the end, young Master Huang bought the stellar core at the price of 95,000 high-grade spirit stones. Wang Daoyuan couldn't help but sigh. The Huang family's wealth was indeed impressive. Now that the stellar core had an owner, the auction came to an end. A Violet Palace realm female cultivator was escorted by an early-stage Yuanian cultivator to Wang Daoyuan's room with a jade box in her hand. Wang Daoyuan took the jade box and checked the Gui water essence. There was nothing wrong with it. He took out 13,000 high-grade spirit stones and handed them to the early-stage Yuanian cultivator. After the Yuanian cultivator counted the spirit stones, he sent a voice transmission, "Our shopkeeper has invited you. Please follow me, Daoyu." The Scarlet Flame sect was at odds with the Huang family, and now he had offended the Huang family. There was an 80% chance that the Scarlet Flame sect wanted to rope him in and make the Huang family look bad. As long as his identity wasn't exposed, the Scarlet Flame sect wouldn't do anything to him. Wang Daoyuan put away the Gui water essence and followed the early-stage Yuanian cultivator to the 3rd floor. In front of a beautifully decorated door, the early-stage Yuanian cultivator cupped his hands and said, "Shopkeeper, I have brought Wu Daoyu here." A dignified female voice sounded, "You may leave." The early-stage Yuanian cultivator excused himself, and the door opened by itself. A fragrant wind blew in. The female voice sounded again, but it didn't sound as dignified as before. Instead, it sounded much gentler. "Wu Daoyu, please come in." Judging from the spirit energy fluctuations, this person was only at the mid-stage Yuanian realm. There was nothing to be afraid of. Wang Daoyuan walked into the room and saw that the decorations were extremely luxurious. The tables and chairs were all made of 5th-grade spirit wood. The tablecloth was made of fabric and emitted the aura of a low-grade 5th-grade spirit stone. A female cultivator wearing a dark red robe and a veil sat at the head of the table. She waved her hand and said, "Wu Daoyu, please take a seat." Wang Daoyuan sat on the chair furthest away from the woman and asked, "Shopkeeper, may I know why you are looking for me?" The woman chuckled. "Wu Daoyu offended young Master Huang today. I'm afraid you won't have a good time on Rare Treasure Island in the future. Do you have a countermeasure?" Wang Daoyuan smiled. "If I can stay on Rare Treasure Island, then I'll stay. If I can't, then I'll travel elsewhere. The sea is vast and there's no place for me to stay. However, I don't understand why the Huang family wants the Gui water essence." The woman answered, "The Huang family's foundation is on Rare Treasure Island, but the 7 Stars Alliance and Blood Shark have the final say on Rare Treasure Island. In addition, the territory is too small and can't support many mortals. Without enough mortals as a foundation, a cultivation family is like a castle in the air that can collapse at any time. Therefore, the Huang family wants to build a family foundation in other places. They bought a piece of land on Heavenly Jade Island with only a 3rd-grade spirit vein and want to build a backup plan for the Huang family. This time, young Master Huang bought the 5 elements essence to upgrade the spirit vein as soon as possible. You bought the Gui water essence, so it's inevitable that the Huang family will hold a grudge against you. In addition, you beat up the Blood Sea twin dragons, so the Huang family has a grudge against you. My Scarlet Flame sect has always disliked the Huang family's actions, so naturally, we won't let the Huang family touch Daoyu. As long as Daoyu is willing to join my Scarlet Flame sect, the Huang family won't dare to touch Daoyu." Wang Daoyuan was a wanted criminal of the 7 Stars Alliance. Naturally, he wouldn't join. He declined. "My long-cherished wish is to build a force of my own. I really don't have any thoughts of joining other forces. I appreciate your kindness, shopkeeper. However, I'm a little curious as to why you want to recruit me. The Scarlet Flame sect is also a large sect. There are many people who are stronger than me. There's really no reason to recruit me. Wu Daoyu is too modest. An early-stage Yuanian cultivator with 5 spirit veins is extremely valuable. Daoyu isn't old. He's only a little over 300 years old. At such a young age, he can cultivate to the early-stage Yuaniing. He can also raise his blacksmithing and alchemy skills to 4th grade middle grade. His talent is also considered excellent. There's a high possibility that he can break through to the soul formation realm in the future. Compared to those truly large forces, my Scarlet Flame sect only lacks a soul formation cultivator. If Daoyu can join the Scarlet Flame sect, with the sect's nurturing, breaking through to the soul formation realm is just around the corner. Of course, Wang Daoyuan didn't believe this. The Scarlet Flame sect really needed a soul formation cultivator, but they wouldn't put in all their effort to nurture an outsider. He still couldn't figure out what the shopkeeper was up to. Chapter 761. This shopkeeper had been avoiding the topic. He was most likely trying to use him as an excuse. With the Huang family's power, it was impossible for them to not obtain the 5 elements essence. They only wanted the Gui water essence to speed up the growth of the spirit vein. The Huang family might hold a grudge against him for such a small matter. At most, they would threaten and bribe him. The next time he went out to sea, they would send someone to assassinate him. They wouldn't do it in the market. Wang Daoyuan still had close to 60,000 high-grade spirit stones. He didn't need them for his cultivation. He could stay in the market for a long time in the future. Therefore, he wasn't in any mortal danger for now. However, the Scarlet Flame sect and the Huang family were old enemies. How could he, a lone cultivator, get involved in the fight between the two forces? It was like putting a bean between 2 millstones. If a bean was put in, it would come out as bean dregs. He was that bean. He had nothing better to do. Why would he get involved in this matter? He declined. My ambition isn't here. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. Then, he turned to leave. The shopkeeper quickly said, since Wu Daoyu isn't willing to join us, you can be a guest elder of the Scarlet Flame sect. Wang Daoyuan didn't even think about it. Shopkeeper, I appreciate your kindness. Being a guest elder meant being tied to the Scarlet Flame sect's worship. No matter what the actual situation was, as long as he became a guest elder, he would be a member of the Scarlet Flame sect in the eyes of the Huang family. When the time came, the Huang family might start to mess with him in the market. Would the Scarlet Flame sect spend a lot of effort to protect him? Whoever did something with risks and no benefits would be a fool. The shopkeeper didn't try to dissuade him anymore. Wang Daoyuan walked out of the auction house and returned to his small courtyard. He kept the Gui water essence in the space of the spirit pearl and placed it on the spirit vein crystal of the water attribute spirit vein. After 100 years in the space of the spirit pearl, it would probably merge into one. He definitely couldn't go out to sea now. He planned to stay in his small courtyard and practice refining and alchemy. Although the 3 treasures tool nurturing technique was special, it was an extension of refining techniques. There were certain requirements for refining techniques. Wang Daoyuan's 4th tier middle grade refining technique was really not enough. The cultivating nascent soul pill was a middle grade tier 5 medicinal pill, and Wang Daoyuan's alchemy level was still far from it. Less than a day after returning to the small courtyard, Wang Daoyuan was forging a shield. Someone came to visit. Wang Daoyuan checked with his divine sense and found that it was Li Chen and an early-stage Yuanian cultivator. This guy looked a little like young Master Huang. There was no doubt that the Huang family was here to cause trouble. Wang Daoyuan used his spiritual sense to shut down the defensive array formation of the small courtyard, shouted, "Come in," and then continued to forge the shield. His side was full of clanging and clanging noises, and there was no way for them to talk. The two of them could only wait in the courtyard. After an hour, Wang Daoyuan finished forging the shield. He walked out of the earth fire room and said with a smile, "Brotherly, and this is Dao Yu Huang, what's the matter?" Li Chen replied, "When you bought the Gui water essence at the auction house, the Huang family came to me and asked you to hand over the Gui water essence." "Dao Yu Huang, I've said what I wanted to say. Can we go now?" Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "I've implicated Brotherly. I'm afraid I can't sail with Brotherly anymore." The Huang family cultivator just nodded and Li Chen left the small courtyard. This matter had nothing to do with him. In the end, it was Wang Daoyuan who implicated him. It was reasonable to leave now, and Wang Daoyuan had nothing to say. At this time, the Huang family cultivator said, "Wu Daoyu, you stole something from my Huang family. Shouldn't you return it?" Wang Daoyuan asked back, "What did I steal from your Huang family? I don't even know where your Huang family's door is. Wu Daoyu, don't play dumb. The 10th water essence should belong to my Huang family. You took something you shouldn't have. Hand it over now and my Huang family can be your backer in the future. I guarantee that no one will dare to bully you on Rare Treasures Island. If you don't hand it over, although my Huang family is far inferior to the 7 Stars Alliance and Blood Shark, it's still easy for us to kill a rogue cultivator." These words made Wang Daoyuan angry. Last time, when he bought the coral tree at a low price, it wasn't necessary. It was also good to exchange it for spirit stones. Losing a few spirit stones could avoid trouble, so it was also acceptable. But this time, it was too much. The 10th water essence was something he urgently needed. If the Huang family wanted to take it for free, how could there be such a good thing? He flatly refused. "I bought this 10th water essence from the Scarlet Flame auction house." "Is the Scarlet Flame auction house opened by your Huang family? This thing has never been in the hands of your Huang family. How did it become your Huang family's property?" "I bought it from the auction fair and square. The highest bidder wins the auction. I'm just a rogue cultivator. In terms of financial resources, I can't compare with your Huang family. You don't want to spend spirit stones to buy it, so you want me to hand it over for free?" The Huang family cultivator's face was full of anger, but he still controlled his temper and said, "The protection of my Huang family is more valuable than a piece of 10th water essence. If you don't hand it over, I'm afraid Daoyu won't live long." Wang Daoyuan sneered, "The biggest danger on Rare Treasures Island is the Huang family. I'll be safe as long as you don't interfere. So I didn't get anything and just gave the Huang family a piece of 10th water essence. There's nothing to talk about. Don't forget to close the door when you leave." The Huang family cultivator coldly snorted, "You want to go against my Huang family? I'm afraid you won't be able to stay on Rare Treasures Island." After saying that, he slammed the door and left. Wang Daoyuan closed the courtyard door and activated the formation. He continued to refine the shield in his hand. This shield was refined with 4th-tier upper-grade materials. He was also trying to refine a 4th-tier upper-grade magic tool. After spending half a day, he finished inscribing the tool pattern. Then, he took out a 4th-tier lower-grade crafting cauldron and placed it on the fire eye. He placed the shield into the crafting cauldron and slowly nurtured it. A 4th-tier upper-grade magic tool would take at least a few months to nurture. However, the crafting cauldron was relatively large and could nurture multiple magic tools at the same time. After finishing the refinement, Wang Daoyuan meditated beside the fire and extracted the fire spirit energy for cultivation. 3 months later, the shield was completely nurtured. After taking it out from the crafting cauldron, it emitted the spirit energy fluctuation of a 4th-tier upper-grade magic tool. With this, the refinement was considered a success. Now, he could be considered a fourth-tier upper-grade craftsman. Cultivators who could survive on an outer sea island like Rare Treasures Island were at least at the late stage of the Golden Core realm. There wasn't much of a market for fourth-tier middle-grade magic tools. With this fourth-tier upper-grade magic tool, it would be relatively easy to earn spirit stones in the future. However, he didn't show up in the past few months, and the Huang family didn't come looking for trouble. Wang Daoyuan put away the crafting cauldron and prepared to refine a fourth-tier upper-grade pill. At this moment, there was a slight change in the array formation in the courtyard. He spread out his divine sense but didn't find anything. There wasn't even a bug near the courtyard. The defensive array formation in the courtyard was very stable and wouldn't change for no reason. Someone definitely came in. He immediately thought that an assassin might have broken in. His identity wasn't exposed, and only the Huang family wanted to deal with him. This should be the Huang family sending an assassin to deal with him. However, sending an assassin to cause trouble for him was completely displaying one slight skill in front of an expert. He was very experienced in dealing with assassins. Even Zhou Wan, the leader of the assassins, had been completely subdued. Ordinary small tricks were like child's play in front of him. The forces in the Sea of Seven Stars changed very quickly. It was impossible for there to be an assassination force like Blood Shadow that had lasted for tens of thousands of years. The cultivation of the assassins here was definitely higher, but in terms of assassination and concealment methods, they might not be comparable to Blood Shadow. Wang Daoyuan used the dragonification technique. A layer of dragon scales appeared on his body, but there was no obvious change in his figure. In this way, ordinary methods wouldn't be able to seriously injure him. Then, he used the Tiger Soul subduing technique. This technique originated from Yunyi's Tiger Roar and had a very strong soul-subduing effect. Even if it couldn't cause a substantial threat to Yuanying, it was still very likely to expose her. As expected, a tiger roar sounded, and a trace of obvious spirit energy fluctuation appeared in the courtyard. Chapter 762. How could Wang Daoyuan let go of such an opportunity? An illusory dragon claw materialized in his hand and clawed at the area of the courtyard where there were spirit energy fluctuations. The assassin's escape technique was quite good. A black shadow flashed and instantly dodged Wang Daoyuan's attack. But once he used his escape technique, his concealment technique was exposed. This person's cultivation was at the early stage of Yuanying. His face was masked and he wore black tights. Since he looked like a man, there was no need to keep him alive. Wang Daoyuan had already grasped the black dragon halberd in his hand and used the true dragon levitation technique to chase after the assassin. The assassin's escape technique's advantage was that it was relatively quiet and not fast. It was far inferior to the true dragon levitation technique. Wang Daoyuan came to the assassin's side and suddenly swung the halberd in his hand. The assassin also took out a pitch-black longsword to block. Unfortunately, with a heavy weapon like the Black Dragon Halberd and Wang Daoyuan's physical strength, how could an assassin resist in close combat? The two weapons clashed, producing a piercing sound. The assassin's sword was unable to block, and the Black Dragon Halberd smashed into his chest. Then, with a crack that sounded like a bone breaking, the assassin flew backward and crashed into the defensive formation. Before he could recover, Wang Daoyuan had already closed in. His left hand transformed into a giant dragon claw and grabbed the assassin. The assassin struggled with all his might, but he was completely unable to shake off the dragon claw. A moment later, the spirit energy fluctuations in his body disappeared. He was abandoning his physical body and escaping with his Yuanying. Wang Daoyuan was already prepared. The Black Tortoise Purgatory, which he had modified to capture his opponents alive, was extremely effective against Yuanying. A black water ball with a diameter of 6 feet instantly appeared and enveloped the assassin's entire body. The moment the Yuanying's head appeared, he realized that something was wrong. He used a spell to attack the Black Tortoise Purgatory in an attempt to escape. Unfortunately, his attack was still too weak. The Black Tortoise Purgatory quickly shrunk and firmly trapped the Yuanying. After that, he put the assassin's Yuanying and corpse into the space of the Spirit Pearl, and slowly burned the Yuanying with flames. Wang Daoyuan's doppelganger soul nurturing technique was too shallow, so he did not dare to use it on Yuanying cultivators. There were many other soul-searching techniques as well, but none of them were useful against Yuanying cultivators. In any case, he didn't need to think too much to know that this person was sent by the Huang family. There was no need to take the risk of searching his soul. Although there was a lot of noise in the courtyard, the array had a soundproof effect, so it wouldn't spread out. The only thing that happened was the assassin crashing into the defensive formation. There were some traces of fighting in the courtyard, so he cast a spell to erase them. Since the Huang family had sent an assassin to kill him, they must have wanted to kill him in this city. Since the assassination had failed, it was very likely that he would try something else. It was better to clean up the traces first so that other evidence would not be caught. 15 minutes later, the assassin's Yuanying was burned to ashes, and a huge amount of spiritual power was scattered into the space of the Spirit Pearl. Naturally, there was no need to keep his body, but the equipment he was wearing was a low-grade 5th-level magic tool, which could somewhat avoid detection by divine sense. After removing the equipment, he burned the corpse to ashes. His harvest was not small. In addition to his equipment, he also obtained a black longsword of lower rank 5 and a universe ring. Doppelganger Blood Flame opened the interspatial ring to check the situation inside. There were only a few thousand upper-grade spirit stones, a token, an inch-wide pearl, a dozen nascent cultivating pills, and a few 9 death resurrection pills. There were no cultivation methods, spells, or anything like that. This could only mean that this guy's cultivation technique and spell came from an assassin organization. There were strange patterns carved on the token. On the front, there was a black dragon with blood-red eyes, and on the back, there were 2 words, Ghost Snake. These words were the current common language of the Qixing Si Xiuxian community, unlike the words on Blood Shadow's token, which were from ancient times. It could also be seen that this assassin organization did not have a long history. The blood-eyed black dragon should be the symbol of this organization, and the ghost snake should be the code name of this assassin. Wang Daoyuan couldn't tell what this bead Dharma artifact was. He probed it with his divine sense, and there seemed to be runes and tool patterns inside. After injecting spiritual power, there was a slight fluctuation in the defensive formation nearby. As he got closer, the fluctuation in the defensive formation became more intense. It seemed that this was the method the assassin used to enter the courtyard without breaking the formation. The blacksmithing inheritance he obtained in the school of the Emperor Star of the 7 Stars Secret Realm mentioned this kind of magic tool, but it was extremely difficult to refine. It required at least a 5th-level blacksmith to refine this kind of thing. This magic tool was called the formation-breaking bead. If placed at the weak point of the formation, one could enter the formation without breaking it or causing a big commotion. Of course, this required a deep understanding of the formation. If one encountered a completely unfamiliar formation and could not find the weak point of the formation-breaking bead would be useless. The small courtyard's defensive formation was set up when the Rare Treasure Islands market was established, and there was nothing special about it. It had probably been figured out by these guys, so it was reasonable that it was broken by the formation-breaking bead. After dealing with the assassin, Wang Daoyuan returned to the earth-fire room as if nothing had happened. He took out the alchemy furnace and began to refine pills. He was going to refine a 4th-grade upper-grade pill, the blood essence strengthening pill. The main purpose of this pill was to strengthen the physical body, and it was also a pill commonly consumed by golden core body-tempering cultivators in the Sea of 7 Stars. The ingredients were easy to find, and most of them were from demon beasts. There were fewer ingredients for refining pills. As a Yuanian cultivator, Wang Daoyuan naturally had an easier time refining 4th-grade pills, and his speed was also very fast. After half a day, it was time for the pills to fuse with the essence of the spiritual objects. At that moment, someone gently touched the formation at the courtyard's door. This was a courtesy to inform the owner that someone had come to visit. Wang Daoyuan used his divine sense to investigate and found a mid-stage Yuanian cultivator standing at the door. One of them was wearing the uniform of the guards, so he should be from the guards. More than 1,000 feet behind him stood 3 early-stage Yuanian cultivators. 2 of them were from the guards, and the last one was the Huang family cultivator who came to threaten him earlier. If Wang Daoyuan did not open the door for the guards, he might offend them. In the Rare Treasure Islands market, the guards could not be offended. He used his divine sense to control the formation and opened an opening at the courtyard's door to let them in. Anyway, with his strength, these people would not be able to take his life. The 4 of them entered the courtyard, and Wang Daoyuan said, "I'm in the middle of refining pills, and it's the critical moment of condensing the pills. Please wait for a moment, Daoyu." The Huang family cultivator said angrily, "Wu, do you have any respect for your seniors? Vice Commander Lin of the guards is here, and you don't even come out to welcome him." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. I didn't know that Vice Commander Lin was here. However, I'm at the critical moment of condensing the pills, and I can't be distracted. Please forgive me, Vice Commander Lin." Vice Commander Lin's temper was not bad, and he did not seem angry. "It's fine. It's rude of us to visit so suddenly. It's fine to wait for a while." The Huang family cultivator still did not let it go. "How dare you? You know Vice Commander Lin's identity, and you still dare to ask him to wait." It was easy to deal with the King of Hell, but difficult to deal with the little ghosts. Vice Commander Lin didn't say anything, but he began to shout. Wang Daoyuan also scolded angrily, "Huang, do you have any respect for your seniors? Vice Commander Lin is fine with it, and you're still not satisfied? What, is your status higher than Vice Commander Lin?" The Huang family cultivator was at a loss for words, not knowing what to say. The other 2 early-stage Yuanian guards also looked at him with gloating expressions. Vice Commander Lin said, "It's best not to be disturbed while refining pills. Second young Master Huang, please calm down." Half a day later, the pill was condensed. The formed pills fell into the pill furnace, and Wang Daoyuan condensed a few fire-controlling patterns. All that was left was to nourish the pills. He stood up and walked out of the courtyard, leading the 4 people into the room. He cupped his hands and asked, "May I know why Vice Commander Lin has come to my humble abode?" Chapter 763. Second young Master Huang must have accompanied Vice Commander Lin here to cause trouble. He didn't go out at all during this time, so the only trouble he could find was related to the assassin. Wang Daoyuan was a little curious. What excuse could second young Master Huang find to mess with him when he encountered an assassin? Sure enough, Deputy Commander Lin replied, "Second young Master Huang reported that you were fighting with someone. Our guard team specially came to investigate the situation." Wang Daoyuan asked with a smile, "When and where did I fight with someone?" Second young Master Huang's face was smug, "In this courtyard. Last night, someone saw violent fluctuations in the array of your courtyard. It must have been caused by a fight with someone." Wang Daoyuan was angry and amused. After messing around for so long, this was it? "Dare I ask second young Master Huang, you said that I was fighting with someone. Who saw it? I've been refining this cauldron of pills since 2 days ago. When you came, you should have seen that my pills were about to be formed. It takes at least a day to form a 4th-level high-grade pill. In other words, I've been refining pills since a day ago. Could it be that I was fighting with someone when I was refining pills? Dare I ask Deputy Commander Lin, does the fluctuations in the defensive array of a private residence violate the rules of the market square? Deputy Commander Lin replied, as long as there's no fighting in this market square and no violation of the basic rules during transactions, there's no problem. Array fluctuations naturally don't count. Even if a person cultivates a spell at home, as long as it doesn't affect outside the array, it doesn't violate any rules. Wang Daoyuan glanced at second young master Huang. Dare I ask Daoyu, who saw me fighting with someone? Who was the person I fought with? Second young master Huang held back for a long time before saying, last night, someone saw a black-clothed man climb over the wall and enter this courtyard. After that, the array fluctuated violently. That black-clothed man never came out again. He must have been killed by you. Since you killed someone, there must be a fight. Wang Daoyuan asked back, since someone saw it, why didn't they report it immediately to the guard team? Why did they only report it today? Moreover, that person didn't report it directly to the guard team but first reported it to Daoyu. Could it be that the person in charge of this marketplace is the Huang clan? Second young master Huang was once again at a loss for words. After a long time, he said, since that cultivator came in, he must still be in this courtyard. Even if Daoyu destroyed the corpse, there will still be traces. Do you dare to hand over your interspatial ring and let Vice Commander Lin search it? Wang Daoyuan ignored him. Instead, he asked Vice Commander Lin, Vice Commander Lin, may I ask if it's just a random person who makes a report and doesn't have any evidence to back it up? If it's possible, I'll report that someone saw the Huang family fighting with someone last night and even killed someone. Why don't Vice Commander Lin go and search the entire Huang clan? Second young master Huang was furious, impudent child. Vice Commander Lin glanced at him and said to Wang Daoyuan with a smile, of course we can't do that. If we don't have any proof, our guards can only come to ask and not search directly. Since there's no such thing, then let's forget about it. Second young master Huang, the Huang clan shouldn't be too arrogant. This rare treasure island market square is still the territory of the Seven Stars Alliance and the Shueisha. The Scarlet Flame sect isn't the only one who doesn't like the Huang clan. You're on your own now. We won't disturb Wu Daoyu any further. Goodbye. After saying that, he led the two guards outside. Wang Daoyuan sent them to the door. Second young master Huang didn't have the face to stay any longer. He snorted coldly and left in a huff. After returning to the small courtyard and activating the formation, Wang Daoyuan fell into deep thought. He had underestimated the Huang clan's vengeful heart. They had already started to assassinate him. This time, they had sent an early-stage Yuanying assassin, who had directly disappeared from the face of the earth. This had also exposed a part of his strength. The Huang clan knew that an early-stage Yuanying cultivator couldn't take him down. It was very likely that they would send a mid-stage Yuanying cultivator. It wasn't very likely that they would send a late-stage Yuanying cultivator. No matter where it was, such a cultivation base was already considered high. If they wanted to invite such an expert, they would have to pay a hefty price. Next time, a mid-stage Yuanying cultivator might come to assassinate him. If he disappeared again, it was very likely that a late-stage Yuanying cultivator would come to investigate. If he encountered a late-stage Yuanying cultivator, he would have no choice but to use his sword cultivation techniques to protect himself. In order to avoid a confrontation with a late-stage Yuanying cultivator, he had to leave Rare Treasures Island before a mid-stage Yuanying cultivator arrived. This way, even if he encountered an assassin outside the market square, he would only encounter a mid-stage Yuanying cultivator. Ordinary mid-stage Yuanying cultivators could kill him with their body tempering techniques. If he ran now, it would appear that he had ulterior motives. It was better to wait for a period of time. He modified the formation in the courtyard and changed the trajectory of the formation's weak points. This way, even if he had the formation breaking bead, he wouldn't be able to quickly enter. Fighting was prohibited in the market square. Even the Huang clan couldn't openly attack. The formation-breaking bead wouldn't be effective. The assassins couldn't forcefully break through the formation, but they could at least delay for a period of time. 2 months later, the medicinal pills were completely nourished. A cauldron of blood essence strengthening pills produced a total of 3 pills. With this level of skill, he could be considered a high-grade 4th-stage pill refinement master. 2 months had passed since the assassination attempt, and the limelight was considered to have passed. It wasn't strange for him to leave now. Wang Daoyuan packed up his things and walked straight out of the market square. His courtyard was located in the southwest corner of the market square, which was also towards the south gate. When he reached the south gate, Wang Daoyuan flashed his token, and the gate's formation opened. He walked out of the gate and was blocked by 2 peak golden core cultivators. One of them bowed and said, "Senior Wu, please wait a moment before you go out. Someone wants to see you." It seemed that these cultivators guarding the gate had been bribed. They wanted to stall for time and give the assassin a chance to kill him. Wang Daoyuan asked, "May I ask if the person who wants to see me is a member of the guards or a higher-up in the market square?" The golden core cultivator didn't dare to lie and directly answered, "Neither." Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan ignored him and walked straight forward. The 2 peak golden core cultivators naturally didn't dare to stop him. There was no reason for a golden core cultivator to be disrespectful to a Yuanian cultivator. Even if they fought, they would be the unlucky ones. After leaving, he took out a mid-grade 4th-stage flying boat and headed south. He couldn't stay on Rare Treasure Island anymore. The other prosperous islands were either under the control of the 7 Stars Alliance or Blood Shark. They were all very dangerous for him. In this way, the Myriad Devil Island became his only choice. Rare Treasure Island was located on the main sea route between the 7 Big Islands and the Myriad Devil Island. There were still many rumors about the Myriad Devil Island. The current Myriad Devil Island was still in a chaotic situation. There were many big and small forces, and there were also a few soul formation cultivators. However, there weren't any big forces like the 7 Stars Alliance or Blood Shark like the Sea of 7 Stars. The forces there were still fighting for themselves. Most of the islands were still under the control of no forces. This kind of place was the most suitable for rogue cultivators. Even if something big happened, they wouldn't be forced into a corner. The flying boat flew for more than 10,000 miles. More than 300 miles behind, an extremely fast flying boat caught up. This speed was at least 20,000 miles in 2 hours. It wasn't that he had never seen a high-grade 4th-stage warship before, but it wasn't so fast. This should be a 5th-stage flying boat. Usually, 5th-stage flying boats rarely appeared on Rare Treasure Island. It was a coincidence that he encountered a 5th-stage flying boat when he was escaping from this place. It was most likely sent by the Huang family. Under such circumstances, it was impossible to escape with speed. Wang Daoyuan put away the flying boat and fled straight down. Below was an endless coral reef. As long as he could escape, with his concealment methods, even a soul formation cultivator wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Seeing him escape, 2 figures flew out of the 5th-stage flying boat. One of them was young Master Huang, who he knew, and the other was unfamiliar. However, the aura emitted from this person was somewhat similar to that of Ghost Snake, who he killed before. He was most likely from that assassin organization. Young Master Huang smiled and said, "Wu Daoyu, why are you leaving in such a hurry? I'm here to see you off." Chapter 764. The assassin also threatened, "You killed Ghost Snake. If you surrender now, I'll give you a quick death. If you put up a stubborn resistance, I have a lot of methods to torture you. When the time comes, I'm afraid you'll be begging for death." Both of them were mid-stage Yuanian cultivators. With Wang Daoyuan's strength, killing a Yuanying cultivator who didn't have any minor abilities wasn't difficult. However, it would be very difficult to deal with both of them at the same time. Although the Huang family didn't have a deep foundation, they still had 4 generations of savings. In addition, Old Master Huang was a peak Yuanying cultivator. The Huang family's heritage was definitely not weak, and they had many life-saving methods. The other person was from an assassin organization. These people spent most of their energy on assassinations, so they weren't very strong in a direct confrontation. However, with young Master Huang holding him back, and the mid-stage Yuanying assassin waiting for an opportunity to launch a sneak attack, they were still a great threat. He definitely wasn't a match for them in the air. When the time came, he would have no choice but to reveal his sword cultivation methods. If he was too obvious in the air, he could very well expose his identity. At that time, he would attract the attention of the 7 Stars Alliance and Blood Shark cultivators. However, things were different in the sea. Using the true dragon body tempering art to transform his body into a true dragon was very suitable for fighting underwater. Killing 2 mid-stage Yuanying cultivators wasn't difficult. Young Master Huang and the assassin naturally didn't know about his methods, so they didn't want him to escape into the water. The coral reef below was too complicated. Many of them were 3rd or 4th grade materials for refining tools, so they were very effective against divine sense detection. The 2 of them couldn't fly over in time, so they took out their magic tools to stop Wang Daoyuan. 2 flying swords, 1 silver and 1 black, attacked him. These 2 weren't sword cultivators, so their attacks were only a so-so. Wang Daoyuan took out his black dragon halberd. When the flying swords came close, he swung the halberd and smashed the 2 flying swords. The black jade flood dragon's horn was very strong. The 2 flying swords did not leave any marks on the surface. Instead, the 2 flying swords were sent flying. There were no more obstacles in front of Wang Daoyuan, and he went straight into the crevice of the coral reef. The 2 of them came to the place where he had entered the water. The assassin asked, "Young Master Huang, this person is very cunning. Should we stop here or go into the sea to kill him?" Young Master Huang didn't even give it a second thought. "This brat has disgraced our Huang clan. How can we let him leave just like that? You've also lost a cultivator, and you're willing to let him go just like that?" The assassin gritted his teeth and said, "I personally groomed Ghost Snake, he's like my disciple. Now that he's fallen in the hands of that kid surnamed Wu, I can't wait to skin him alive. It's just that my probing methods aren't very useful in this coral reef. This brat is also a body cultivator. If we are ambushed by him, we really won't be his match." Young Master Huang said disdainfully, "Although the heritage of my Huang family is not as good as those big forces, it is still not something that ordinary rogue cultivators can compare with. My clan's old ancestor started by hunting demonic beasts in the sea. A mere loose cultivator wants to escape by jumping into the water? Wishful thinking. So you're saying that we should go into the water together to hunt him down?" Young Master Huang smiled and said, "It's still too dangerous. I'll use some tricks to attract sharks and make him unable to stay in the sea. Then, we'll wait on the flying boat. If he dares to show his face, he'll definitely die." Then, he took out a jade bottle and poured out a few drops of dark red liquid. The liquid dissolved as soon as it entered the water. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan didn't run far. Instead, he hid in a coral reef at the bottom of the sea. After young Master Huang dripped a few drops of the liquid, he smelled a faint scent of blood. Previously, when he was hunting demonic beasts with the Black Ice Fairy, he saw a similar trick that could attract sharks. Being surrounded by sharks in the sea, even if they were only rank 4 sharks, was enough to kill. If a tier 5 were to appear, then there would be no way out for them. However, he didn't want to leave just like that. He was forced to leave Rare Treasures Island by the Huang family, which delayed his search for the 5 elements essence. he wouldn't feel good if he didn't vent his anger. After floating more than 1,000 feet below the surface of the sea, he used the true dragon flight technique and flew towards the south. Using the technique at this depth, the two of them could still detect some movements. Young Master Huang wasn't a water element cultivator. It was almost impossible for him to pass through the countless corals and attack 1,000 feet below the surface of the sea. Naturally, the two of them were unwilling to let Wang Daoyuan wander around so brazenly. He steered the flying boat and lowered its altitude. The assassin condensed a few small black swords in his hand and flew towards Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan condensed a phantom dragon claw to meet the small black swords. The dragon claw was penetrated by the black swords and completely collapsed. He had no choice but to summon the black dragon halberd and swing it with all his might to smash the small black swords. Many of the corals in the surroundings were also shattered by this attack. The small black swords condensed from spiritual energy naturally couldn't withstand this attack. Under the halberd, they scattered into black spiritual energy. If the two of them didn't come down, it wouldn't be a good idea to continue wasting time like this. He couldn't keep swimming in the sea. At this moment, he needed to play a mind game. Wang Daoyuan used the tiger soul subduing roar technique and said, "Young Master Blood Dragon, your courage doesn't seem like Blood Dragon's son. The Blood Dragon duo is your younger brother, right? Although they're a bit weaker, they're much more courageous than you. They dare to fight me head-on. Your Yuanying middle stage cultivation has been fed to the dogs." Hearing this, young Master Huang was furious. Blood Dragon was already a taboo in the Huang family. Now, he was being scolded in public. He was Master Huang's son, but now he was being scolded as Blood Dragon's son. Since he was born, the Huang family had been the third most powerful force on Rare Treasure Island. Even the Seven Stars Alliance and Blood Shark gave the Huang family some face. When had they ever been treated like this? He put away the flying boat and held the long sword in his hand. He cursed angrily, "Little bastard surnamed Wu, don't run if you have the guts. Today, I'll teach you how to be a man." The assassin hurriedly tried to stop him. Young Master Huang said angrily, "Get lost." The assassin didn't dare to persuade him anymore. He could only follow behind and help. The two entered the water. Wang Daoyuan's plan succeeded. His body emitted a jade-colored light. Then, he turned into a true dragon more than 10 feet long and swam toward young Master Huang. Seeing him turn into a true dragon at that, the two were surprised. The Qixing Sea Xiaoxian community hadn't seen a true dragon for thousands of years. After they came to their senses, the two realized that it was stupid to fight a true dragon underwater. They wanted to escape into the air. However, Wang Daoyuan's true dragon flight technique in his dragon form was extremely fast. Moreover, they were in the sea. The two's speed couldn't be compared at all. Wang Daoyuan's target was young Master Huang. The 5th grade flying boat was in his hands. If he escaped, Wang Daoyuan wouldn't be able to catch up with him. His two front claws grabbed at young Master Huang. Young Master Huang had no other choice but to block with his sword. Wang Daoyuan grabbed the flying sword with one claw while the other claw grabbed at young Master Huang's dantian. The assassin wanted to save him. He also condensed a black dragon and attacked Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan swung his dragon tail and shattered the black dragon. A golden light appeared on young Master Huang's body. This should be his life-saving trump card. The dragon claw didn't manage to shatter it. It only made him spit out a mouthful of blood. The true dragon transformation put a lot of pressure on the body. It couldn't be maintained for long. If this continued, Wang Daoyuan would be the unlucky one. He took out his life-bound magic weapon, the Sword of Origin. The moment he took it out, it was filled with killing intent. He had such a powerful sword cultivation technique, but he had been hiding it. The two immediately realized who their opponent was. It was the sword cultivator surnamed Zhou, whom the 7 late-stage Yuanying cultivators couldn't catch in the 7 Stars Heavenly Palace. Unfortunately, they found out too late. The Sword of Origin was made from a 6th grade high-grade sword embryo. Even if the tool pattern was only 5th grade, it was still very powerful. Coupled with Wang Daoyuan's Sword of Origin, the golden light barrier was shattered in an instant. Countless sword qi rushed into young Master Huang's body. His internal organs were instantly shattered. Even the Yuanying cultivators weren't spared. Young Master Huang died on the spot. His face was still filled with fear and disbelief. Wang Daoyuan kept his corpse in the space of the spiritual pearl. Then, he swung the Sword of Origin at the assassin again. Chapter 765. The assassin might not be strong enough in a head-on battle, but he was very good at hiding and escaping. He disappeared into the sea in an instant. Wang Daoyuan searched with his divine sense, but he couldn't find any trace of him. If he escaped, he would be hunted down by the 7 Stars Alliance and Blood Shark. Using his divine sense, all the spiritual energy within a 300-mile radius was under his control. No matter how good the assassin's escape technique was, it was impossible for him not to cause a disturbance. The moment he used his divine sense, he discovered that there was a strange mass of seawater about 30 miles north. His divine sense couldn't lock onto it. If it wasn't for the fact that the flow of spiritual energy in this mass of water was incompatible with the surrounding seawater, Wang Daoyuan wouldn't have noticed it. The Sword of Origin returning flashed with silver light as it cut through the seawater and slashed towards the assassin. The assassin knew that he was exposed, so he stopped hiding. He channeled all the black spiritual energy in his body into a long sword, wanting to take the attack head-on. In order to prevent this guy from abandoning his body and escaping, Wang Daoyuan used the Black Tortoise Purgatory. A black flame prison with a diameter of 500 feet enveloped the assassin's entire body. With a flash of silver light, the assassin's spiritual energy dissipated. The black sword in his hand broke into 2 pieces, and his head fell from his body. Yuanying flew out from the corpse, wanting to escape. Yuanying's speed was usually much faster than cultivators of the same level. If he ran far away, Wang Daoyuan wouldn't be able to stop him. Yuanying's head crashed into the Black Tortoise Purgatory and bounced back. His cultivation wasn't low, so the Black Tortoise Purgatory also trembled. The Black Tortoise Purgatory alone might not be able to trap him. The Sword of Origin returning carried a large amount of sword qi and broke into the Black Tortoise Purgatory again. Yuanying tried to dodge several times, but was still cut in half by the Sword of Origin returning. Wang Daoyuan put the assassin's corpse and Yuanying into the Spirit Pearl space. He flew to the surface of the sea and summoned his flying boat, continuing his journey towards the south. At the same time, in the middle of Rare Treasure Island's market, in a deep courtyard, an early Yuanying cultivator ran to the backyard in a panic. As soon as he entered the backyard, an old voice came from inside. "Jin Sheng, why are you so flustered?" The early Yuanying cultivator quickly said, "Father, Big Brother's soul tablet is broken." A peak-stage nascent soul cultivator with white hair and beard rushed out of a room and questioned loudly, "What did you say?" "Big Brother's soul tablet is broken." The peak Yuanying cultivator was stunned for a long time before he asked, "Where did Jin Shan go?" The early Yuanying cultivator replied, "Big Brother received a message from the cultivator guarding the city gate. The brat who stole our water essence left the city through the south gate. He led the Nether Flood Dragon to chase after that brat, and it has only been less than 4 hours since then. You bastard surnamed Wu dared to kill my son. Prepare the fastest flying boat for me. I'm going to chase after him. I want him to die without a burial place." Wang Daoyuan naturally guessed that Master Huang and the assassin organization would chase after him. In order to avoid being caught, he adjusted his direction and flew to the southeast. In the space of the spiritual pearl, his doppelganger searched through young Master Huang and the assassin's interspatial rings and found many good things. As Master Huang's eldest son, young Master Huang had many good things in his interspatial ring. Just the high-grade spirit stones alone were close to 100,000 pieces. What surprised Wang Daoyuan the most was that he also had the high-grade level 5 astral core that he bought at the auction. In addition to these things, there was also a high-grade level 5 magic longsword, as well as many nascent cultivating pills and healing pills. The level 5 flying boat that they took to come here was also here. He also had a mid-grade level 5 soft armor, but unfortunately, it was pierced through by the origin restoring sword and was basically useless. Even with Wang Daoyuan's refining skills, it would be difficult for him to repair it. Young Master Huang also hid a jade pendant, but now it was broken and its spiritual power was basically gone. This should be young Master Huang's trump card, but now it was useless. The doppelganger casually threw the astral core, and the astral core automatically floated above the center of the spiritual pearl, absorbing the purple energy and converting it into star energy. Soon, the astral core began to emit star energy. Moreover, the amount of star energy was much more than the astral core that he obtained in Beiyuan. There were no cultivation techniques or spells in the assassin's interspatial ring, but there were more than 30,000 high-grade spirit stones. There were also some pills, but not many. There was also a token, similar to Ghost Snake's token, with the words, Hell Flood Dragon, carved on the back. The doppelganger checked the level 5 flying boat and did not find any problems. Wang Daoyuan also changed to the level 5 flying boat, which was indeed much faster. With this, he was not afraid of Master Huang catching up. There was a distance of millions of miles from here to the myriad demon islands. In order to save spirit stones, most of the merchant ships relied on cultivators to drive the flying boats, and they had to stop and rest along the way. Wang Daoyuan had the spiritual gathering pearl and the spatial ring, so he did not need to resupply. From the south of Rare Treasure Island, the Blood Shark Pirates' territory was nearly 500,000 miles. Since he was wanted by the three major forces, Wang Daoyuan did not dare to look for trouble, and tried his best to avoid the island. After taking many detours, it took more than half a month to reach the southern edge of the Sea of Seven Stars. At this time, Master Huang had already returned to Rare Treasure Island. He was not prepared enough, and chased south for more than 300,000 miles, but he could not find Wang Daoyuan's trace. The high-grade spirit stones he carried were barely enough for the return trip. If he continued to chase, he could only rely on himself to drive the flying boat back. Helplessly, he could only give up the chase and return in exasperation. Wang Daoyuan met many cultivators on the way, but to be able to own a level 5 flying boat, he was definitely not an ordinary rogue cultivator, so no one dared to provoke him. The journey was quite peaceful, and he did not meet any cultivators blocking his way. At the edge of the Sea of Seven Stars, south was the territory of the demonic beasts. In order to avoid being targeted by the demonic beasts, Wang Daoyuan tried his best to fly the flying boat as high as possible. There were often clouds on the sea, and hiding in the clouds could save him a lot of trouble. Even so, he met many demonic beasts along the way. Killing a level 4 demonic beast that was courting death was not much effort. Level 5 demonic beasts would be a little troublesome, and he might even be chased by a group of demonic beasts. Fortunately, the demonic beasts in the sea were not very fast, and did not cause too much damage. After more than half a year of trekking, he arrived at the northernmost tip of the myriad demon islands. Although the myriad demon islands did not have a large island like the Sea of Seven Stars, it was still common to see islands with a radius of thousands of miles. Wang Daoyuan arrived at the Fire Lotus Island, which was a medium-sized island with a diameter of over 7,000 miles. There were many volcanoes on this island, and these volcanoes formed a lotus shape. On the Fire Lotus Island, there was a level 6 low-grade fire spiritual vein, as well as many level 5 fire spiritual veins. The scale of these spiritual veins was not big, and they were all deep underground. Moreover, these volcanoes produced many fire attribute materials, which attracted many cultivators. The Fire Lotus Island was not small, and there were high-grade spiritual veins. Moreover, it was located at the northernmost tip of the myriad demon islands. In addition to the large number of cultivators, it became the place where the myriad demon islands and the Sea of Seven Stars traded. At the northern end of the Fire Lotus Island, there was a large-scale market. Occasionally, there would be large flying boats coming from the Sea of Seven Stars to trade here. On the island, there were also shops opened by Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance. They were used to sell the resources in the southern part of the Sea of Seven Stars. At the same time, they would also buy spiritual items from the myriad demon islands and send them back. Of course, the Seven Stars Alliance and Blood Shark's forces here were already very weak. Most of the people in the northern part of the myriad demon islands were cultivators who were ostracized by the two major powers. The shops of the two major powers did not dare to be too arrogant in case they were destroyed. Wang Daoyuan naturally came here for the leaf fire essence. There were many volcanoes and fire attribute spiritual veins here, so the possibility of the leaf fire essence appearing was very high. There were more rogue cultivators of the righteous path here, and fewer devil cultivators. He would not be conspicuous among them. He knew nothing about the myriad demon islands, so he naturally wanted to find a place to scout for information. Wang Daoyuan entered the market at the northern end of the island. The scale of this market was not small, and it had a radius of over 100 miles. He strolled around the market and soon found a restaurant. The name was very familiar, Kai Yang Restaurant. Chapter 766. The owner of the Kai Yang restaurant was the Kai Yang sect, which was located on one of the 7 big islands, the Kai Yang Island. Although the Kai Yang sect didn't monopolize a big island like the Alioth Sword sect, there were soul formation cultivators in the sect, so they weren't weak. The Kai Yang sect's inheritances were very diverse, such as pill, artifact, talisman arrays, sword cultivation, body cultivation, and so on. There were even inheritances of spirit chefs, but none of them were particularly strong. If the Rising Sun sect was best at business, it would still be business. As long as there was an island with a market, there would be shops of the Kai Yang sect. The market of the Fire Lotus Island wasn't small, so the Kai Yang sect was naturally there. After entering the Kai Yang restaurant, he found an empty table and sat down. The waiter quickly asked, "Senior, what would you like to order?" Wang Daoyuan said casually, "Give me some of your best dishes and 2 jars of good wine." The waiter quickly served the dishes. The ingredients were local, mainly demon beast meat, and a small amount of fire attribute spirit herbs. The wine was also good. The ingredients were 4th-grade spirit herbs that had been stored in the cellar for hundreds of years and had barely broken through to the 5th grade. Wang Daoyuan ate and drank while listening to the cultivators around him. Most of the rogue cultivators didn't have a tomorrow, and they all liked to enjoy themselves. There were many rich people drinking in the restaurant. At the table next to him, there was a middle-stage Yuanian cultivator in a blue robe drinking by himself. Not long after, another white-bearded cultivator walked into the shop. Seeing this blue-robed cultivator, he quickly walked over. "Brother Bai, it's really you. We haven't seen each other for many years since we parted on Cloud Island. I didn't expect to meet you here today. Back then, you also established a force and lived a good life. Why are you here too?" The blue-robed cultivator smiled bitterly. "Brother Gao, let's not talk about the past. I can't stay in the Sea of Seven Stars anymore, so I can only come to the myriad demon islands to make a living. Brother, you've been here for many years, I wonder if you can give me some guidance? The white-bearded cultivator smiled. What kind of guidance can there be on the Fire Lotus Island? It's nothing more than going out to sea to hunt. Other than demon beasts, there are also some low-intelligence fierce beasts. These fellows' physical bodies were far superior to other beasts of the same level, but their intelligence was far inferior, making them easier to kill. The further south they went, the more ferocious beasts there were and the fewer demonic beasts there were. There were many volcanoes on the Fire Lotus Island, and there were also many fire-attributed materials. As long as they dared to enter the lava lake, they would definitely be able to reap some rewards. If he was lucky enough to find some precious refining materials, he would be able to earn a lot of spirit stones. When I first arrived here, someone found a 6th-grade fire essence in the lava under the volcano. I heard that it was sold for over 100,000 high-grade spirit stones. Upon hearing this, Wang Daoyuan's ears perked up. This was exactly the news he wanted. Cultivators were similar to ordinary people in that they liked to brag after drinking. Hearing this white-bearded cultivator talk about the Li fire essence, the other insiders also started to brag. A sturdy cultivator said, "This is Dao Yu, the one who found the Li fire essence, and we are old acquaintances. Back then, when I was on this Fire Lotus Island, that Dao Yu invited me to go down to the lava lake of the Blood Flame Mountain. However, there were often high-grade 5th-grade ferocious beasts in the lava lake. I was afraid that it would be dangerous, so I didn't go. I didn't expect that I would miss out on a fortune." Sigh. Everything is fate, and it's not up to people. A cultivator next to him joked, "You don't have that fate, so it's useless even if you go." The Blood Flame Mountain is located in the center of the Fire Lotus Island and has a 6th-grade spirit vein. Maybe you won't be able to get the Li fire essence, and you might even be eaten by demonic beasts. Anyway, it's a good thing that you didn't get rich. That Dao Yu seemed to have been assassinated not long after selling the Li fire essence. The other cultivators also started to discuss the Li fire essence, and Wang Daoyuan learned a lot of information from them. It seemed that his luck was pretty good. He had just arrived here and he already had news of the Li fire essence. However, knowing this news didn't mean that he would be able to obtain the Li fire essence. The Blood Flame Mountain had a 6th-grade spirit vein, so the flames in the lava must be extremely powerful. Yuanying cultivators couldn't stay for too long after entering, not to mention that there might be high-grade 5th-grade ferocious beasts roaming around. Once they were entangled by ferocious beasts, it would be difficult to escape. Listening to these people's conversations, there were quite a few Yuanying cultivators who had died in the lava lake. However, he wasn't satisfied with obtaining such accurate information without investigating. That year, that cultivator had obtained the Li fire essence. As long as there were some remnants left, it would be enough for Wang Daoyuan. It would be able to slowly grow after fusing with the fire spirit vein. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, he left the market and headed to the center of the Fire Lotus Island. From the market to the center of the island, the scenery in front of him changed drastically. The air was filled with dense fire spirit energy, and there were very few plants on the ground. Only a few fire attribute spirit plants were growing more luxuriantly. Wang Daoyuan also casually picked some valuable spirit plants and transplanted them into the space of the spirit pearl. Along the way, he didn't encounter any ferocious beasts blocking his way and soon arrived at the Blood Flame Mountain. This volcano wasn't big, only about 5 kilometers in diameter and less than 3 kilometers tall. There were quite a few Yuanying cultivators cultivating around the small mountain. After all, it was a rank 6 spirit vein, and the density of spirit energy was extremely high. Fire attribute cultivators cultivating here would be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort. Of course, other than cultivating here, these people also had the intention to take advantage of the situation. If a cultivator managed to gain something from the volcano, they would gang up on him. If a ferocious beast escaped from the volcano, it would also be surrounded and attacked. Regardless of the situation, these people would be able to gain a lot without paying a huge price. Wang Daoyuan didn't know much about the Blood Flame Mountain, so he naturally wouldn't enter the mouth of the volcano. He followed the other cultivators and found a place near the Blood Flame Mountain to meditate and cultivate. There was a mid-stage Yuanying cultivator nearby. When he saw Wang Daoyuan cultivating nearby, he mocked, "A mere early-stage Yuanying cultivator dares to come here and join in the fun? This is my territory. If you want to cultivate here, you have to pay 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. Otherwise, your little life will end here." This person was tall and muscular. He was clearly a body refiner. Moreover, there was a strong smell of blood on his body. He was clearly a demonic cultivator of the blood demon tribe. Wang Daoyuan didn't take this demonic cultivator seriously. "Your territory? How did you divide the territory near the Blood Flame Mountain?" The demonic cultivator looked disdainful. "Of course I took it with my own ability." Wang Daoyuan looked enlightened. "Then that's easy. This territory belongs to me now. You can either scram or die." If he wanted to enter the lava lake in the Blood Flame Mountain to search for treasures, he had to establish his dominance first so that others wouldn't dare to attack him. This demonic cultivator had delivered himself to his doorstep. It was a good choice. This demonic cultivator was naturally not a good-tempered person. Now that Wang Daoyuan was so arrogant and didn't take him seriously, how could he tolerate this? He took out a heavy sword and slashed at Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan also took out his black dragon halberd and swung it at the demonic cultivator. The sword and halberd clashed, producing an ear-piercing sound. The two of them had similar physical strength, so they both retreated. However, the black dragon halberd was refined from the black jade flood dragon spine and dragon horn, so it carried the power of a dragon. Demonic cultivators were afraid of heavenly might and divine beasts, so they were at a disadvantage. An early-stage Yuanying cultivator had the upper hand against a mid-stage Yuanying cultivator in a head-on confrontation. All the cultivators present thought highly of Wang Daoyuan. No one wanted to attack him anymore. This demonic cultivator wasn't weak, so it wouldn't be easy to take him down. Others might even take advantage of him. After successfully establishing his dominance, Wang Daoyuan didn't attack anymore. He meditated on the spot and looked for an opportunity to enter the volcano. He stayed there for half a month. Every day, there would be cultivators entering the volcano to try their luck. On this day, the sound of fierce fighting constantly came from the volcano. Soon, a mid-stage Yuanying cultivator escaped from the volcano, followed by a blood-red lizard. Chapter 767. Every time something like this happened, the cultivators around the Bloodfire Mountain would stare at the escaping cultivator with their eyes wide open. If this person was injured or had a good harvest, they would gang up on him. If he wasn't injured or had a good harvest, they would gang up on him and kill the demon beast. This time was no exception. Everyone was looking at the mid-stage Yuanying cultivator. Although this mid-stage Yuanying cultivator was in a sorry state, he was full of vitality and his spirit power was stable. He wasn't seriously injured. Wang Daoyuan couldn't tell if he had a good harvest or not. The other cultivators, on the other hand, carefully inspected the cultivator before revealing looks of disappointment. They were all old foxes. They were disappointed because they saw that this person didn't have a good harvest. Of course, they couldn't let go of the lizard that chased them out. Even the most worthless meat of a mid-stage 5th-stage demon beast could be used for cultivation. With a few mid-stage Yuanying cultivators attacking together, a beast of the same stage couldn't resist and was quickly divided. The golden core of the beast was snatched away by a sword cultivator. Beasts and demons were different from humans. They didn't have Yuanying. Even after breaking through to the 5th stage, the core of their spirit power was still the golden core. However, the price of a 5th stage demon beast's golden core was very high. Other than being used for alchemy, it could also be used as a material for forming yuanying. If it was in Beiyuan, a mid-stage 5th stage demon beast's golden core could be used as a source of 5th stage spirit power. When Daoist Lei Yen broke his core to form his nascent soul, his corpse core was similar to the golden core of this beast. Wang Daoyuan didn't care about this. The nascent formation fruit he obtained in the 7-star secret realm was already a foot tall and had 5 buds. In 5,000 years, he would be able to use the nascent formation fruit. The flow of time in the spirit pearl was already 70 times faster than the outside world and was still accelerating. He estimated that the nascent formation fruit would ripen in another 50 to 60 years. The medicinal effect of this fruit wasn't something a 5th stage golden core could compare to. After the demonic beast was killed, the cultivator who escaped from the crater panted for a long time before he slowly said, "Thank you Dao Yu for your help. I found a piece of refining material below. I haven't even made a move yet, and this beast has already set its sights on me." A middle-stage yuanying cultivator beside him asked, "The materials used to refine this weapon must be extraordinary to have a 5th-order mid-grade demonic beast guarding it." The cultivator shook his head. "I didn't even have time to check before I was ambushed by this beast. That thing's spiritual energy fluctuations are extremely strong. It should be a 6th-grade material." Hearing this, everyone's interest was immediately piqued. Any random piece of a 6th-tier crafting material would be worth tens of thousands of high-grade spirit stones. The volcano crater of the Bloodfire Mountain had once produced level 6 low-grade Li Fire essence. The young cultivator asked again, "Where?" The cultivator who escaped did not hide anything. The southernmost part of the lava lake, 2,000 feet below the lava. The lava lake near a level 6 low-grade spirit vein had extremely strong flames. Yuanying cultivators would still be in great danger if they went down. Many cultivators would be burned to ashes before they could even reach the depth of 2,000 feet. Hearing this, some of the cultivators revealed hesitant expressions. However, there were many wandering cultivators who valued money more than their lives. Moreover, wandering cultivators who could cultivate to the yuanying realm all had life-saving methods. After a few dozen breaths of hesitation, about 20 cultivators flew to the crater of the volcano. They used all kinds of life-saving methods and jumped into the crater. These cultivators were the majority of the cultivators around the Bloodfire Mountain. Wang Daoyuan had long wanted to enter the crater of the volcano to search for the Li Fire essence. However, there were too many cultivators waiting to take advantage of the situation, so he didn't dare to casually go down. Now was an excellent opportunity. He also flew to the crater of the volcano, wrapped himself in the black tortoise purgatory, and jumped into the lava lake. He was no stranger to lava. Back then, when he cultivated the Scarlet Yuan fire resistance escape on the Jade Spring Peak, he cultivated in the lava. However, the fire spiritual energy in the Jade Spring Peak's lava was only at the level of a level 3 high-grade fire spirit vein. It was far inferior to the lava here. Wang Daoyuan still underestimated the power of the level 6 low-grade lava. The black tortoise purgatory on his body was quickly consumed, and soon, a hole appeared. Even if he tried his best to replenish his spiritual energy, he still couldn't keep up with the consumption of the lava. He could only release the Scarlet Yang primordial fire and wrap it around the black tortoise purgatory. With the Scarlet Yang primordial fire consuming the fire spiritual energy in the lava, the pressure on the black tortoise purgatory decreased by a lot. Wang Daoyuan extracted spiritual energy from the Scarlet Yang primordial fire, converted it into water-attributed spiritual energy, and replenished the black tortoise purgatory. However, the deeper he went, the stronger the flames in the lava became. He definitely couldn't take out the black magic robe. The wings of a half-step Yuanying black-winged demon were only level 4 high-grade refining materials. In the flames, they would be burned to ashes in an instant. The robe on his body made of level 5 low-grade beast skin could barely hold on in the flames. Other than the flames, there was also an extremely strong pressure. The density of the lava was much higher than that of water. In the lava, the pressure on the body was naturally greater than in water. He had just gone down more than 1,000 feet when he heard the sounds of fighting coming from below. The spiritual energy fluctuations were also very intense. Moreover, the spiritual energy fluctuations didn't seem to be from demonic beasts, but more like a battle between humans. In such a situation, there was an 80% chance that someone found something good and it was seen by others. With the character of this group of rogue cultivators, they would naturally snatch it. Wang Daoyuan didn't want to get involved in this muddy water and continued to stay more than 1,000 feet deep. The flames of the lava below were even stronger, and the pressure on the body was also greater. Even if he didn't fight, he couldn't stay down for long. Now, this group of people still had to fight each other, and the time they could last was even shorter. When the cultivators below were tired of fighting, they would naturally come up. It was just right for him to wait here. The situation wasn't out of Wang Daoyuan's expectations. The situation below was getting more and more lively. In less than half a cup of tea's time, they began to escape upwards. He also took out the level 5 high-grade sword he got from young Master Huang, ready to ambush them at any time. Soon, a mid-stage Yuanying cultivator escaped from below. This person was the demonic cultivator who caused trouble for him before. He didn't expect that this guy would be the first to get the spiritual item below. Previously, he attacked him, and now he stole his item. It was a good time to settle the old and new scores together. In this lava lake, he had to use spiritual energy to protect himself, and there was no way to hide his tracks. The demonic cultivator also discovered his tracks. There was no need to hide anymore. Wang Daoyuan's hands turned into dragon claws and grabbed at the demonic cultivator. His whole body was emitting dragon chi and an extremely strong dragon might. The demonic cultivator was extremely sensitive to these things and felt a wave of fear. In addition, he had used up a lot of his spiritual energy after fighting with the other cultivators below. Now that there were people chasing after him, he naturally didn't dare to fight with Wang Daoyuan. He didn't have time to cast spells to resist the flames. He directly turned into a bloody light and flew up. His speed was extremely fast. He must have used a secret technique that consumed his blood essence and true essence. Wang Daoyuan didn't want to risk his life, so he just followed behind unhurriedly. With Dahei's keen sense of smell, this guy couldn't escape Wang Daoyuan's detection unless he could escape thousands of miles away in an instant. Even if he escaped, the aura he left behind would expose his whereabouts. He definitely wouldn't be able to escape in a battle of attrition. The cultivators below also hurriedly followed. An old cultivator saw Wang Daoyuan and asked, "Did you see that blood demon demonic cultivator?" "Yes, I saw him. I was about to attack when he turned into a bloody light and fled. My cultivation level is low, so I didn't dare to take the lava's fire head-on, so I didn't dare to chase after him. What good thing did this guy get? Why are there so many people chasing after him?" The old cultivator didn't answer. He used a secret technique and followed. However, a cultivator behind him said, "I only saw an extremely powerful fire attribute spiritual energy fluctuation. It should be a 6th tier material. According to the senior in front, it's the essence of fire." The other cultivators no longer paid attention to Wang Daoyuan and sped up to catch up. Chapter 768. A depth of more than 10,000 feet was nothing to Yuanying cultivators who were rushing at full speed. Everyone quickly chased after him, and Wang Daoyuan followed closely behind. When they exited the volcano, they discovered that the blood demon had already escaped. At that moment, the cultivators running in front had already chased south for dozens of kilometers. The blood-colored light that the demonic cultivator had transformed into had already fled to somewhere unknown. Everyone still chased after him relentlessly. One of the cultivators even summoned a bat demon beast to track the blood demon. Wang Daoyuan was already prepared to take advantage of the situation, so he naturally followed. That demonic cultivator was a mid-stage Yuanian cultivator who walked the path of body refinement, so he had more blood essence and quintessential essence. Using this secret technique, he could fly for thousands of kilometers. The group followed behind the bat demon beast and chased south. Soon, everyone arrived at the edge of the island. The bat no longer flew forward, but circled above a small area of the sea. The blood demon was not stupid. He knew that he would not have any advantage if he kept running, so he fled into the sea in an attempt to use the water to escape. The demonic cultivator burned his blood essence and quintessential essence to escape thousands of kilometers away. He was now in a half-dead state. Even if he entered the sea, he would not be able to escape too far. Naturally, everyone was unwilling to give up and stayed by the shore. They were unwilling to use their trump cards so easily. They wanted to wait for the others to leave before taking the benefits for themselves. This stalemate lasted for a while, but no one left. An old cultivator summoned a water-type snake-type demon beast. This stalemate is not a solution. Everyone, Daoyu, don't hide anymore. Use your methods to find this demonic cultivator. My jade wave snake is good at searching for targets in the water. Its speed in the water is even faster than that of an average mid-stage Yuanian cultivator. With that, he summoned the jade wave snake. This snake was only about 3 feet long and covered in light green scales. It did not look special, but it emitted high-grade level 4 spiritual power fluctuations. After the jade wave snake entered the water, it quickly swam south. The other cultivators who had underwater searching methods also used their methods to search for the demonic cultivator in the sea. Soon, 3 cultivators locked onto the demonic cultivator's position. The master of the blue wave serpent said, "Daoyu, the 3 of us have found traces of the devil cultivator. We can't waste our efforts, can we?" Wang Daoyuan said, "There are more than 20 of us here. No one can take all the benefits. If the devil cultivator really obtained the Li fire essence, then it wasn't impossible to separate them. Instead of fighting, it was better to share the benefits. Dao, you have contributed more, so you can take more." Although he needed a lot of Li fire essence, he had the space in the spirit pearl. As long as a small piece of Li fire essence was integrated into the fire spiritual vein, it could slowly grow. It would be most beneficial for him to split a piece each. The master of the Jade Wave Serpent smiled and said, "Daoyu's suggestion is not bad. If all the other Daoyu agree, I have no objections." The other cultivators nodded as well. Under such circumstances, no one could take all the treasures for themselves. Instead of fighting to the death and possibly gaining nothing, it was better to quit while they were ahead. At this moment, a middle-stage Yuanian cultivator wearing a black robe looked at Wang Daoyuan with disdain. "The idea is good, but you're just an early-stage Yuanian cultivator. What right do you have to share the treasures with us? If we kill you, won't there be one less person to share the treasures with?" The others also looked at him with ill intentions. He was the only early-stage Yuanian cultivator present. Since he also wanted to share the treasures, the others were somewhat unhappy. Wang Daoyuan nodded. "You're right. If we kill the weak, there will be one less person to share the treasures with." Before he finished speaking, his hands had already turned into dragon claws and attacked the black-robed cultivator. The two of them were only 100 feet apart. He had no time to dodge Wang Daoyuan's sudden attack. He could only take out a mid-grade tier 5 sword and inject spirit energy into it. A spirit energy barrier appeared around his body to block the attack. Wang Daoyuan grabbed the sword with one of his dragon claws while the other went straight for the black-robed cultivator's heart. With a scream, the spirit energy barrier shattered and a large hole appeared in the black-robed cultivator's chest. The black-robed cultivator was also very decisive. He immediately abandoned his physical body and fled into the distance with Yuanying. The others were still gloating and had mocking smiles on their faces. Now, their smiles froze on their faces and they were stunned. This Yuanying was extremely fast. Ordinary spells would not be able to catch up. He had used the Black Tortoise Purgatory in the 7-star secret realm. With so many people present, it would not be good to use it again. Intense metal-type spirit energy fluctuations appeared on his body. Then, 300 golden feathers appeared out of thin air. Under his control, the 300 feathers left his body and chased after the Yuanying. The feather blade's speed had always been extremely fast. They were even faster than a sword cultivator's sword control. The black-robed cultivator's chances of escaping with Yuanying were slim. He did not wait for death. Burning his true essence, he cast a spell and condensed the shadow of a black tortoise. This tortoise shadow was similar to the black tortoise. Its defensive ability was not weak. A few feather blades hit it and shattered into golden powder. The tortoise did not move at all. Wang Daoyuan gathered the remaining 200 feather blades and attacked a single point. The tortoise shadow collapsed instantly. The remaining 100 feather blades turned into a tornado and attacked Yuanying. A golden light flashed and Yuanying disappeared instantly. Wang Daoyuan recalled the remaining feather blades and infused spirit energy into his body again. He smiled and asked, "Now I can take 2 portions. Who agrees and who disagrees?" The people who were gloating earlier had a trace of fear on their faces. They quietly distanced themselves from Wang Daoyuan. He could directly kill Yuanying. He was too much of a threat to them. Once the sneak attack succeeded, they would not even have the chance to seize the body. The master of the blue wave serpent smiled and said, "Dao Yu, speak with your strength. I have no objection to you taking 2 portions. That demonic cultivator is now hiding in a sea mountain 500 miles south. There seems to be a protective array there. He is hiding in it to recover his injuries. Let's go take him down and then divide the treasures." The others also agreed. After discussing, the group came to a place 500 miles south of the Fire Lotus Island and went into the water. Under the guidance of the 3 people, the group quickly found the sea mountain and the place where the demonic cultivator was hiding. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and shot out more than 10 golden feathers. The array set up by the demonic cultivator was directly broken. This array was brilliant. In addition to resisting the pressure of the sea, it also had traces of an illusion array that could conceal one's whereabouts. Now that the array was broken, the demonic cultivator no longer hid. He held a fiery red crystal that was 1 foot and 4 inches long and 5 inches in diameter. As soon as he saw this thing, Wang Daoyuan's face lit up. It was indeed the Li Fire essence. The demonic cultivator said, "I can hand it over, but you have to let me live. Otherwise, I'd rather destroy this thing. If the Li Fire essence turns into fragments, it won't be worth anything." Before he could finish his words, several cultivators had already made their move. Anyway, they were going to be separated. It didn't matter whether it was fragments or not. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to fall behind. He didn't want to be criticized again when they divided the treasures. In less than a breath's time, the body of the demonic cultivator lay on the ground. Even Yuanying was cut in half by a sword cultivator. The Li Fire essence was intact and was still in the hands of the demonic cultivator. Everyone wanted to take it, but they didn't dare to do it for fear of being besieged. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Let the 3 Dao Yu who found the traces of the demonic cultivator divide it." We have a total of 24 people. The 3 Daoyu and I will take 2 portions. This Li fire essence should be divided into 28 portions. Daoyu and I will take half an inch each. The 3 Daoyu and I will take 1 inch each. The way he killed the black-robed cultivator in an instant had shocked everyone. His idea was fair, so no one dared to refute. The master of the blue wave snake walked to the corpse of the demonic cultivator and picked up the Li fire essence. He took out a long sword and began to divide it. First, he cut off 4-inch-long sections of the Li fire essence. Wang Daoyuan and the 3 cultivators each took a section. The remaining 1-foot-long section was divided into 20 sections. The other cultivators each took a section. Chapter 769. After obtaining the Li fire essence, Wang Daoyuan didn't stay any longer and left the sea. He had already obtained 4 of the 5 elements essence. The remaining E-wood essence definitely wouldn't be on the Fire Lotus Island. There was no point in staying here. Moreover, there were many cultivators who knew that he had the Li fire essence. If he continued to stay on the Fire Lotus Island, it was inevitable that someone would try to rob him. It was better to leave this place as soon as possible and look for the E-wood essence elsewhere. The other cultivators didn't have the courage to rob him after witnessing his means. They just watched him leave. No one dared to stop him. After flying out of the sea, he took out a mid-grade Tier 4 flying boat and headed south. He only obtained a mid-grade Tier 5 sword and a few pills from the cultivator who provoked him. There weren't many spirit stones, only a little more than 10,000. His net worth was a far cry from young Master Huang's. However, he did have a cultivation technique and a few spells in his universe ring. This cultivation technique was called the Mystic Turtle Sea Suppression Art. It could be cultivated to the peak of Yuanying. It was much better than the overturned sea art. Wang Daoyuan had the inheritance of Guiyuan's sword Immortal and was also a knowledgeable person. He could see many brilliant things from this cultivation technique, but there were also some very shallow contents. It should be a remnant of a brilliant cultivation technique that was improved by someone who obtained it. This cultivation technique was useless to him, but it could be used as a foundation for his family. The spells were ordinary. The spell that the cultivator used to protect his body with the help of the turtle phantom was called the Mystic Turtle Protective Spell. The defensive power of this spell wasn't bad, but the other spells weren't worth looking at. He put the Li fire essence into the space of the spiritual pearl and connected it with the fire attribute spirit vein crystal. After a few decades or 100 years, they should be able to fuse together. The Li fire essence would provide high-grade spirit energy to the spirit vein and help it to evolve. At the same time, it would absorb part of the spirit energy in the spirit vein and produce new Li fire essence. However, this fire spirit vein was only of low-grade Tier 5. Even if the Li fire essence could continue to grow, the new Li fire essence would only be of low-grade Tier 5. The Gui water essence he obtained previously had already fused with the water attribute spirit vein. With the addition of a large piece of 5th-grade high-grade Gui water essence, the grade of the entire spirit vein showed signs of increasing. There was a spirit spring near the water spirit vein, but the amount of water coming out of the spirit spring was very small. Wang Daoyuan had broken through to Yuanying, and his spirit meridians had advanced, so the amount of water in the spirit spring had also increased slightly. However, it was still not very big. Inky Jade Lotus, Yellow Spring Willow, and 7-leaf Ghost Face Flower were planted near the spring. The water that gushed out was all absorbed by the spirit plants. But that wasn't enough. He still needed the clone to cast a water-type spell to replenish the water. Now that he had merged with the Gui water essence, the amount of water gushing out of the spring water continued to increase. It was already enough to sustain the growth of the spiritual plants. If it continued to grow, the spirit plants might not be able to completely consume the spring water, and the spring water would flow everywhere. This spring water was the same as the Gui water nether spring north of the mountains in Beiyuan Xiaofan. It carried a dense yin qi. Ordinary spirit plants wouldn't be able to withstand this. In the future, he really had to find a way to solve the problem of the spring water. The hepta-gold essence had merged with the metal spirit vein earlier, and now the metal spirit vein was very close to mid-grade tier 5. In addition, the Grand Unity golden flame beside the metal spirit vein was also affected and showed signs of advancing. This was a pleasant surprise. He didn't expect the 5 elements essence to be able to make up for the innate deficiency of the spirit fire. Wang Daoyuan sat on the flying boat and flew south. Along the way, he didn't encounter any inhabited islands, only some reefs or extremely small islands. These small islands didn't even have spirit veins, so Wang Daoyuan naturally didn't stop. After all, Uncle Zhong was a cultivator of the Wen clan in Mystic Island, and Mystic Island was too far away from the myriad demon islands. The Wen clan's hands couldn't reach the myriad demon islands, and the beast skin book he gave was also very brief. There was only a rough location, and there weren't any records of the larger islands. Wang Daoyuan was like a headless fly, looking for islands where he could inquire about information. After flying for more than 200,000 miles, 2 high-grade tier 4 flying boats appeared in front of him. Just as Wang Daoyuan wanted to dodge, the 2 flying boats flanked him from the left and right. There was an early-stage Yuanian cultivator standing at the bow of the 2 flying boats. One of the plump cultivators shouted, "Who are you? Why are you trespassing in the territory of the Golden Sand sect?" Wang Daoyuan didn't put these 2 flying boats in his eyes. If he really wanted to fight, it would only take a few moves. However, he couldn't just fly around aimlessly like this. It wasn't easy to meet a living person, so it was better to ask about the situation. He cupped his hands towards the 2 people and said, "Fire Lotus Island's rogue cultivator Wu Chuan greets the 2 Daoyu. I offended a few experts in the Fire Lotus Island, so I had no choice but to flee. I don't know much about the situation south of the Fire Lotus Island, so I accidentally trespassed in your territory. Please forgive me, Daoyu." The cultivator on the other flying boat was thinner and weaker. He said, "Do you have any proof that you accidentally trespassed in the territory of the Golden Sand sect? Recently, there have been demonic cultivators and half-demons targeting the Golden Sand sect. You might be a demonic cultivator or half-demon spy since you suddenly trespassed in our territory." These 2 fellows were also difficult to deal with. Explanations wouldn't work. He took out his black dragon halberd and his spirit power surged, ready to attack at any time. "I'm only here to find a safe place to stay. I've never even heard of the Golden Sand sect, so I have no ill intentions towards you. Since your sect doesn't welcome me, I'll just leave. If the 2 Daoyu force me, then I'll have no choice but to send you on your way." The spirit power fluctuations on Wang Daoyuan's body were extraordinary, and he was a body refinement cultivator. The 2 Golden Sand sect cultivators didn't dare to act rashly. The fat cultivator asked telepathically, "Second Elder, how should we deal with this? If we fight, the 2 of us might not be able to take him down." The thin cultivator thought for a moment and replied telepathically, "This person cultivates a righteous cultivation method and doesn't have obvious demonic characteristics. He shouldn't be a demonic cultivator or half-demon. If he's really a wandering cultivator like he said, we can try to rope him in. The sect's current situation isn't good. The sect master has been recruiting and expanding his strength. If the sect can have another powerful Yuanian cultivator, it'll also increase the sect's strength. If the 2 of us go back, we might be able to get a lot of rewards." The 2 of them thought it was worth it. The fat cultivator smiled. "Wu Daoyu, don't be impatient. We don't have any ill intentions. It's just that demonic cultivators and half-demons are rampant, so we have to be careful. Since Daoyu isn't a demonic cultivator or half-demon, the Golden Sand sect naturally won't attack you. It's just that the sect is short of manpower. The two of us want to invite Dao Yu to join the Golden Sand sect. As long as Dao Yu agrees, the nascent cultivating pills will be given out on time. You'll definitely be able to become an elder. Wang Daoyuan wanted to find a safe place to inquire about the location of the E-wood essence. From what the two of them said, the Golden Sand sect shouldn't be a large sect. At most, it should have a mid-late Yuanying cultivator overseeing it. There was no harm in going to the Golden Sand sect and asking for information. However, before that, he needed to get some information. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "May I ask how powerful your sect is?" The two of them were delighted by his question. He was interested in joining them. The thin cultivator quickly replied, "There are 4 Yuanying cultivators in the sect. The sect master is a mid-Yuanying cultivator and isn't far from reaching the late Yuanying stage. The Grand Elder is also a mid-Yuanying cultivator. He's in charge of all the sect's affairs, big or small. I'm Xiaofan, the second elder of the Golden Sand sect. This is Du Zhe, the third elder of the Golden Sand sect. With Daoyu's strength, if he joins the Golden Sand sect, he'll be able to become the 4th elder immediately. Although the Golden Sand sect isn't very powerful, it's still the most powerful sect within a radius of 200,000 kilometers. Being an elder in the sect is much better than being a wandering cultivator." Chapter 770. Upon hearing this, Wang Daoyuan felt relieved. If what these two said was true, then the Golden Sand sect was indeed just a small sect. 2 mid-stage Yuanying and 2 late-stage Yuanying wouldn't pose a threat to his life. If he exposed his identity as a sword cultivator, it might be difficult for him to fight 4 people at once. However, if he retreated unscathed, injuring 1 or 2 people along the way wouldn't be a problem. As long as he didn't enter the other party's sect, there wouldn't be any danger. According to what these two said, the Golden Sand sect should be a righteous sect that was enemies with demonic cultivators and half-demons. The myriad demon islands was similar to the southern wasteland of Beiyuan Xiuxian. The spirit qi here was somewhat violent and wasn't suitable for righteous cultivators to cultivate. On the contrary, demonic cultivators and half-demons were more suitable for such an environment. Righteous cultivators below the golden core stage probably couldn't leave the protection of the formation. Establishing a sect in such a place could be considered a pioneer for human cultivators. Wang Daoyuan was quite respectful towards cultivators who opened up a place for humans to live. He could pay them a visit and inquire about the E-wood essence. He cupped his hands at the two and said, "If what Dao Yu said is true, I can pay a visit to your sect." The two of them were delighted. Xiaofan smiled and said, "Dao Yu, please follow us." After saying that, he controlled the flying boat to lead the way. Wang Daoyuan's flying boat followed behind. After traveling for more than 10,000 miles, they arrived at an island with a radius of 3,000 to 4,000 miles. There was a level 5 high-grade attributeless spirit vein on the island. Such a spirit vein wasn't very conspicuous in the Sea of 7 Stars. In the center of the island was a small mountain range that stretched for 500 to 600 miles. There was a large formation protecting the mountain range. Close to the mountain range, there were several cities of different sizes. There were formations in the cities that converted violent spirit qi into gentle spirit qi. It should be a place where mortals and low-level cultivators lived. A place with violent spirit qi wasn't suitable for spirit plants to live in. In addition, this was an island that often had strong winds and huge waves, as well as the invasion of ferocious beasts. It was not easy to feed a large number of people. When Xiaofan saw that Wu Daoyu was sizing up the island, he introduced, "Wu Daoyu, this is Golden Sand Island, where my Golden Sand sect is located. We have already informed the sect master and the Great Elder. They will be here soon to welcome you." Although my Golden Sand sect is a small force, it has a foundation of over 5,000 years. Currently, there were several thousand cultivators and close to 1,000,000 mortals. The businesses on this island were all accumulated by generations of people. There are also some smaller islands in the surrounding area, which are also properties of our Golden Sand sect. Wang Daoyuan nodded. It really is a paradise. With Jinsha Island here, it can be self-reliant. When the flying boat reached the sky above the largest city, 2 mid-stage nascent soul cultivators rose into the sky from the city. One of them was a mid-stage Yuanian cultivator wearing a golden robe and a golden crown. He cupped his hands and said, "I am the Golden Sand sect master, Lintao. Greetings, Wu Daoyu. Please come into the city for a chat, Wu Daoyu." The Golden Sand sect was quite good at handling matters. They were quite considerate to receive him in the city. After all, he was a newcomer. There was no trust between the two parties, so he definitely wouldn't enter the other party's sect. There were many mortals and low-level cultivators in the city, so the array formations were also much weaker. Once a fight broke out, there would definitely be heavy casualties. It would be difficult to keep him here. Receiving him in the city also meant that they didn't have any bad intentions. Wang Daoyuan greeted the two of them. Then, he followed the 4 people from the Golden Sand sect into the city and arrived at the city lord's residence. Everyone took their seats. Some Foundation establishment female cultivators served a sumptuous meal. Lintao smiled and said, "The Golden Sand sect's territory is small and we are lacking in resources. The food and wine are not presentable. Please don't blame us, Daoyu. Sect Master, you must be joking. The food and wine are already very sumptuous. I'm just a rogue cultivator. I don't deserve such hospitality." Lintao waved his hand and said, "Wu Daoyu, you don't have to be so modest. With Daoyu's strength, you should be treated courteously wherever you go. Our Golden Sand sect has been established for thousands of years. In the past, demonic cultivators didn't form a large faction, so the sect's life was relatively good. However, in recent years, the battle between the few large demonic cultivator factions in the south has become more and more intense. This has caused a large number of demonic cultivators and half-demons to flee and invade our Golden Sand sect's businesses. With just the few of us, it's very difficult to protect this foundation. I want to recruit rogue cultivators to resist the demonic cultivators and half-demons together. I heard that Daoyu is also a rogue cultivator and doesn't have a place to stay for the time being. I want to invite Daoyu to join the Golden Sand sect. As long as Daoyu agrees, you will be the 4th elder of our Golden Sand sect. Your status and treatment will be the same as the 2nd and 3rd elders." Wang Daoyuan's main goal was to find the E-wood essence. He only came here to gather information. He had the essences of the 5 elements. He just needed to gather some spirit herbs that Yuanian cultivators needed, as well as some 5th-grade refining materials. After that, he would return to Beiyuan Xiaofan. What was the point of staying in the Golden Sand sect as an elder? Wang Daoyuan refused. "I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint Daoyu. I came to the Myriad Demon Islands to find some special refining materials to refine my life-bound magic tool. After leaving the Fire Lotus Island, I walked for more than 200,000 miles and still didn't see anyone. Demonic cultivators run amok in the Myriad Demon Islands, so I didn't dare to wander around. After meeting Xie Qin and Du Zhe, Daoyu learned some things about the Golden Sand sect and wanted to gather information. I don't like to be tied down. I like to travel and never stay in one place for too long. Please forgive me, Daoyu." Lintao's expression changed slightly, but he was still very polite. Everyone has their own ambitions. We won't force you. However, I want to invite Daoyu to be a guest elder of the Golden Sand sect. I won't restrict Daoyu's freedom. Although the Golden Sand sect is a small sect and doesn't have a large territory, it has been established for thousands of years. However, since the sect had been established for thousands of years, it still had some resources. On a few of the larger islands, there were some industries. It would be a piece of cake for him to gather information for his fellow Taoists. We won't ask Dao Yu to do anything. If the Golden Sand sect is in trouble in the future, Dao Yu can help us if you're still in the Myriad Demon Islands. Being a guest elder wasn't a big deal. The Golden Sand sect was different from the Scarlet Flame sect. The Scarlet Flame sect was a part of the Seven Stars Alliance. If he got too involved with them, he might expose his identity. The Golden Sand sect was just a small sect. Even if his identity was exposed, they wouldn't be able to keep him. Luck played a big part in obtaining the water essence and fire essence. Now that he knew nothing about the Myriad Demon Islands, finding the E-Wood essence would be like finding a needle in a haystack. If he had a force to help him find it, the situation would naturally be much better. He cupped his hands and said, being a guest elder of the Golden Sand sect is naturally not a problem. However, I'll be traveling frequently in the future. I'm afraid I won't be able to help the Golden Sand sect much. And Lintao waved his hand and said, it's fine. The Golden Sand sect also wants to use Dao Yu to intimidate demonic cultivators and half-demons. After all, having 5 Yuanian cultivators is more intimidating than having 4 Yuanian cultivators. With that, he took out a white jade medallion. This is the medallion of our Golden Sand sect's guest elder. With this medallion, fellow Daoist status and identity are equal to that of the second elder and the third elder. If you need any help, you can ask the disciples of the Golden Sand sect. What materials do Dao Yu need? I'll ask the disciples to help find out. Wang Daoyuan didn't hide anything. I need the E-Wood essence to refine a magic tool. Low-grade tier 5 will do. 4th grade will do as well. It'll just take more effort to refine it. And Lintao thought for a while and said, there's no requirement for the grade. That's not difficult. Although 5-element essence isn't common, it's not like it doesn't exist. There's a huge market on the Devil Slaying Island more than 50,000 kilometers south of the Golden Sand Island. More than 500 years ago, a piece of high-grade tier 5 earth essence appeared there. As for 4th grade 5-element essence, it has appeared many times, but we've never paid attention to it. I'll ask the disciples to pay more attention to this. It won't take long for us to find 4th grade 5-element essence. Wang Daoyuan took the token and said with a smile, in that case, I'll have to trouble Sect Master. Chapter 771. And Lintao and the other 3 were overjoyed. Wang Daoyuan accepted the token and called An Lintao Sect Master. This meant that he was willing to be the guest elder. Whether or not they would help at the critical moment, the Golden Sand sect would nominally have 5 Yuanian cultivators. They could intimidate the thieves and also boost the morale of the sect's cultivators. And Lintao asked, Elder Wu, where do you plan to open a cave residence? I'll let the others prepare. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand, no need to trouble yourself. I've always been traveling and I don't like to stay in one place for too long. Since there's a big market on the Demon Slaying Island, there might be E-Wood essence there. I'll stay there. Grand Elder Mo Yongping quickly dissuaded him, although the Demon Slaying Island isn't big, it's still a place where many factions meet. The faction that originally controlled the Demon Slaying Island's market has been affected by the conflict between the demonic cultivator factions, so they don't have the time to manage things there. Itinerant cultivators and half-demons became rampant. Itinerant cultivators often robbed shops and killed many people. Wu Daoyu is new here, so I'm afraid he won't be able to deal with these things. Wang Daoyuan smiled, it's okay, it's just killing demonic cultivators and half-beasts. It's not a big deal. And Lintao thought for a while and said, "How about this? Second Elder Xiaqin is reliable and he used to guard the demon-slaying islands market. Let him accompany you. He can understand the situation there and let the disciples guarding the business there get to know Elder Wu." Wang Daoyuan had no objection to this. He was going to the demon-slaying island mainly to get all kinds of information. If he could understand the basic situation of the demon islands, even if he couldn't find Wood essence on the demon-slaying island, he could go elsewhere. That's not a problem. I also want to go there and find Wood essence myself. With Elder Xia accompanying me, that would be perfect. Wang Daoyuan stayed in the city for 2 days and then followed Xiaqin to the demon-slaying island. The demon-slaying island was less than 2,000 miles in diameter and there was a mountain range in the middle. The market was west of the mountain range and extended all the way to the coast. As the largest market in the vicinity, it was quite lively with many flying boats coming and going around. Wang Daoyuan's flying boat landed near the coast in the northwest corner of the market. The Golden Sand Sect's shop was located in the northern part of the demon-slaying islands market. The location was not too good, but it was not too remote either. The two of them got off the flying boat and arrived in front of a shop. The signboard above the door had the words, "Golden Sand Restaurant" written in gold. Xiaqin smiled and said, "This is our Golden Sand Sect's shop." The sect has a total of 4 shops on the demon-slaying island. In addition to this restaurant, there were also shops selling magic tools, pills, and arrays. Originally, business was pretty good, but now that the market square was getting more and more chaotic, the shop's business was also affected. It's barely profitable now, but it's hard to say what will happen in the future. After reaching Tier 4, spirit talismans were extremely rare. Ordinary sects simply did not have the inheritance of Tier 4 and above spirit talismans. The power of the Golden Sand sect was relatively ordinary, and its founder was only a late-stage Yuanying itinerant cultivator. Naturally, its inheritance was not very brilliant. It was normal that it did not have a spirit talisman inheritance. Looks like our sect's inheritance is pretty good. I mainly cultivate alchemy and blacksmithing, so I can refine magic tools and sell pills here. Hearing this, Xiaqin could not hide his excitement. I didn't expect Elder Wu to be proficient in alchemy and blacksmithing as well. The sect has really picked up a treasure. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. Elder Xia, you're too kind. I'm only at superior tier 4 in alchemy and blacksmithing. I can't say I'm proficient. That's not bad. Elder Wu, you're not old. You're probably less than 500 years old, right? You're so young, yet you're already a Yuanying cultivator and have reached superior tier 4 in alchemy and blacksmithing. With such talent, it'll be easy for you to break through to tier 5 in the future. The founder is also proficient in alchemy and blacksmithing, and his inheritance is pretty good. If you need it, I'll send it to you later. With the founder's inheritance as a reference, it's only a matter of time before you break through to tier 5. Of course, Wang Daoyuan would not reject this offer. It would be nice to have more inheritance. Especially the alchemy inheritance. He only had the incomplete alchemy inheritance of Perfected Lord Bai Ling and the Outer Sea Pill scripture that he bought when he bought the courtyard on Rare Treasure Island. Although the Outer Sea Pill scripture was a tier 5 alchemy inheritance, it was too crude. Thank you, Elder. My alchemy and blacksmithing inheritances are also crude. If I can get a better inheritance, I can break through to tier 5 as soon as possible. With the Golden Sand sect's inheritance and a large amount of raw materials, his alchemy and blacksmithing would progress much faster. Then, the two of them entered the shop. Xiaqin originally wanted Wang Daoyuan to live in the courtyard behind the shop, but he insisted on living in the earth fire room in the back of the shop. There were superior tier 5 non-elemental spirit veins on Demon Slaying Island, so the spirit energy in the lava was naturally of high quality. It was also more convenient for cultivation. Xiaqin even asked the shopkeepers of the 4 shops to come and greet Wang Daoyuan. Not long after the two of them arrived at the shop, an early-stage Yuanying cultivator came to visit. Wang Daoyuan was unfamiliar with this place, so Xiaqin naturally welcomed him. Xiaqin invited the early-stage Yuanying cultivator to the backyard, and Wang Daoyuan accompanied him. Xiaqin asked, "May I know why Daoyu is here?" The cultivator surnamed Lu glanced at Wang Daoyuan. "This Daoyu looks unfamiliar." Xiaqin introduced, "This is our Golden Sand sect's newly recruited guest elder, Wuchuan. There's no need to hide business from Elder Wu." The cultivator surnamed Lu cupped his hands and said, "I'm Lu Ziyuan." "Greetings, Wu Daoyu." Wang Daoyuan returned the greeting. "Greetings, Daoyu Lu." Lu Ziyuan continued, "Recently, the Devil Flame sect has been pressuring us more and more. Many of our businesses have been affected. Pills and magic tools are in short supply, so we can only rely on our previous savings. The sect master sent me to ask for help, hoping that your sect can sell us more resources. Also, it's best if the price is lower, as we don't have much left." Xiaqin smiled. "Our 2 sects are both righteous sects, and we're struggling to survive on Demon Islands. It's only right that we help each other. The sect master and the Grand Elder have also instructed that all the goods that our Golden Sand sect sells to your esteemed sect will be sold at 30% of the market price. If your sect needs it, we can also help." Lu Ziyuan's face was full of joy. "Thank you, Daoyu. Your sect has been harassed many times by demonic cultivators and half-demons. I can't thank you enough for thinking of helping us at this time." Wang Daoyuan looked at Lu Ziyuan and felt that this person's aura was somewhat familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere before. This sense of familiarity wasn't personal, but related to the cultivation method he cultivated. Xiaqin and Lu Ziyuan exchanged some pleasantries before seeing him off. After returning to the small courtyard, Wang Daoyuan asked, "Elder Xia, what's the background of this Daoyu Lu?" Xiaqin replied, "Lu Ziyuan is an elder of the Zhenhai sect. Like our Golden Sand sect, the Zhenhai sect is also a righteous sect. Moreover, the Zhenhai sect has a very long history. It was established more than 30,000 years ago and was once a subordinate force of the Imperial Regency. It helped the Imperial Regency guard the Demon Islands. Back in the day, it was a famous sect with a soul formation cultivator in its ranks. Unfortunately, after the Imperial Regency was destroyed, the Zhenhai sect also declined. The Zhenhai sect learned a lot from the Imperial Regency. After the Imperial Regency was destroyed, some disciples fled to the Zhenhai sect. The Zhenhai sect is also proficient in refining corpses, taming beasts, and puppets. They're not weak. Now that the Sea of 7 Stars has no time to care about the Demon Islands, the righteous sects like us are having a hard time. The 2 sects have always been helping each other and have a good relationship." Hearing Xiaqin mention the Imperial Regency, Wang Daoyuan immediately remembered. He had indeed seen Lu Ziyuan's aura on other cultivators before. Back in the 7 Stars secret realm, he encountered Blood Shark, True Lord Raging Sea, a late-stage Yuanying cultivator. His aura was very similar to Lu Ziyuan's. Chapter 772. True Lord Raging Sea was a core member of Blood Shark, so he must have cultivated the core techniques of the Imperial Regency. Lu Ziyuan's aura was similar to his, so the techniques they cultivated should be the same, or at least similar. Techniques were not like spells, they could not be passed down casually. In order to create a spell, a cultivator would only need to spend a few decades to do so. However, in order to create a cultivation technique, it required the continuous deduction of several generations of people. Wang Daoyuan had deduced the 5 spirits immortal transformation technique for the Yuanying stage. He had a few techniques for reference and even entered the space of the spirit orb. Even so, it still took him hundreds of years to deduce a technique that consumed a lot of resources. The value of a technique was not something that spells or secret techniques could compare to. Therefore, no one would casually hand over their own techniques to someone else. Lu Ziyuan's technique was similar to True Lord Raging Seas. It seemed that the relationship between the Xinhai sect and the Imperial Regency was not as simple as a major force and a subsidiary force. The Xinhai sect was probably a backup force left behind by the Imperial Regency in the Demon Islands. Once something happened to the sect, it would be easy to make a comeback here. However, there was one thing that Wang Daoyuan could not understand. The Imperial Regency's forces had not completely collapsed. There was still Blood Shark left, and they had already stabilized the situation in the Sea of Seven Stars. If the Xinhai sect continued to be in the nest of demonic cultivators, it would only be a matter of time before it was destroyed. Continuing to stay in the Demon Islands would only be wasting their strength in vain. There was not much practical use. Under normal circumstances, the Xinhai sect should be withdrawn to the Sea of Seven Stars. All the Imperial Regency's backup forces should be consolidated and focused on development. With the advantage of the Imperial Regency's inheritance, they should be able to accumulate enough strength to overthrow the Seven Stars Alliance in a few thousand years' time. But Blood Shark did not care about the Xinhai sect at all. It was really strange. There must be a reason for this abnormality. If the remaining forces of the Imperial Regency dared to do this, there must be a big plan. The information that Wang Daoyuan knew was still too little. It was impossible to deduce the Imperial Regency's plan. If the Imperial Regency really had some grand plan, the Xinhai sect would definitely not be simple. Not to mention other things, there were definitely a lot of hidden trump cards. If the Imperial Regency wanted to play tricks, they would definitely target the Seven Stars Alliance. As an itinerant cultivator, he naturally wanted to hide as far away as possible. Of course, this big plan wouldn't be effective in a short period of time. Right now, the Xinhai sect was still being bullied by the demonic cultivators. Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance didn't have any conflicts either. Blood Shark's side did not have the upper hand in terms of strength, so it was impossible for them to flip the table in a short period of time. There was no need for him to leave now. He just had to be careful not to get too involved with the Xinhai sect. Although Wang Daoyuan was thinking about a lot of things, he didn't show it on the surface. After chatting with Xie Qin for a while, he left the small courtyard and went to the Earth Fire Room. The Earth Fire Room here wasn't small. There were about 500 to 600 small Earth Fire Rooms. The bottom of the Earth Fire Room had been sealed by an array, but he could still feel the strong fluctuations of fire spiritual power. Wang Daoyuan came to the Earth Fire Room at the bottom. This place was very close to the underground lava. Cultivators below the Yuanying level couldn't stay here for too long. Yuanying cultivators wouldn't be affected too much, but they would feel more uncomfortable. He had the spiritual fire, so there wasn't much of a problem. Wang Daoyuan took out the low-grade 4th-tier weapon refining cauldron that he had refined himself and continued to refine the upper-grade 4th-tier defensive magic weapon. Once he was familiar with it, he could try to refine the 5th-tier magic weapon. 3 days later, Xie Qin sent over the weapon refining and alchemy methods left behind by the Golden Sand sect's founder. Along with the methods, there were many alchemy and weapon refining materials. In order to keep him here, the Golden Sand sect really put in a lot of effort. Previously, when he was at Rare Treasures Island, he couldn't sell the magic weapons and pills he refined quickly. Now that he had the Golden Sand sect backing him up, he could get as many materials as he wanted. The refined pills and magic weapons were all bought by the sect store. Wang Daoyuan naturally wouldn't let go of this great opportunity to improve his alchemy and weapon refining skills. As for the Golden Sand sect's good intentions, he would just help them solve some problems. He stayed in this earth fire room for a year and refined more than 10 furnaces of 4th-tier pills and 5 defensive magic weapons. According to the rules, the sect store would buy the pills at 70% of the market price. Of course, the price of the materials would be deducted. Even so, Wang Daoyuan had earned more than 10,000 superior-grade spirit stones. His alchemy and weapon refining skills had also improved greatly. Just as he was about to continue refining pills and weapons, there was a commotion in the Golden Sand restaurant. Wang Daoyuan released his divine consciousness to investigate the situation. He saw 3 fiendish cultivators standing at the entrance of the Golden Sand restaurant. They were 2 meters tall and had strong waists. The 3 of them were all in the early yuanying stage. When they stood at the entrance of the restaurant, no one dared to eat or drink in the restaurant. Even the business of the shops next to the restaurant was much worse. They lost dozens or hundreds of superior-grade spirit stones a day. Xiaofan had already arrived at the entrance of the restaurant. He cupped his hands at the 3 of them and said, "Daoyu, what business do you have here?" The leader of the fiendish cultivators smiled and said, "Nothing. We just saw that the scenery on this street is good and wanted to take a look here." "Why, is the Golden Sand sect so involved that you even care about the things on the street?" "They were here to pick a fight." Xiaofan smiled and said, "I don't know how the Golden Sand sect has offended the 3 of you. Please tell me, Daoyu." Daoyu is really open-minded. "We're from the Devil Flame sect. All these years, we've been fighting against the Zhenhai sect, but we've never touched the Golden Sand sect. Our 2 sects have no enmity in the past, so why are you supporting the Zhenhai sect? If it's just a normal transaction, it's fine." However, the Golden Sand sect actually sold supplies to the Zhenhai sect at 70% of the price. This is deliberately going against the Devil Flame sect. Since the spirit stones that the Golden Sand sect earns are subsidized to the Zhenhai sect and turned into supplies to kill the disciples of the Devil Flame sect, we'll deal with the root of the problem. If that's the case, we might as well solve the problem from the root so that your Golden Sand sect can't continue doing business. There was no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world. The fact that the Golden Sand sect sold supplies to the Zhenhai sect at a low price naturally couldn't be hidden. First, the Devil Flame sect came looking for trouble. Now, the Golden Sand sect wasn't easy to deal with. Xiaofan smiled and said, "The Zhenhai sect and the Golden Sand sect have been on good terms for a long time. We've always had some discounts when doing business. This has been the practice for many years. We have no intention of targeting your sect." The Devil Flame sect cultivator was stubborn. "I don't care what the relationship between the 2 of you is. Even if you're wearing the same pants. Since you're helping the Zhenhai sect, you're going against the Devil Flame sect. Now, either you draw a clear line with the Zhenhai sect, or we attack the Golden Sand sect as well." Xiaofan was in a dilemma. This matter was really difficult to deal with. If they drew a clear line with the Zhenhai sect and the Devil cultivators took over the Zhenhai sect, the Golden Sand sect would be isolated and helpless. If they continued to support the Zhenhai sect, the Golden Sand sect would suffer a great loss. If the Devil Flame sect attacked the Golden Sand sect, the losses would be even greater. Just as he was in a dilemma, Wang Daoyuan asked via voice transmission, "What did the sect master and the others say? Are they going to start a war with the Devil Flame sect or draw a clear line with the Zhenhai sect?" Xiaofan replied via voice transmission, "I just sent a message to the sect. The sect master and the Grand Elder haven't responded yet. No one from the Golden Sand sect responded, so they needed someone to stand up for them. They had benefited a lot from the Golden Sand sect in the past year, so they naturally had to stand up for them." Wang Daoyuan stopped refining elixirs and weapons. He flew out of the earth fire room and landed in front of the Golden Sand restaurant. Holding the black dragon halberd in his hand, he didn't hide his spiritual power and blood chi fluctuations. A faint dragon chi spread out. The three devil cultivators' expressions changed slightly, and they looked at him warily. At this moment, Lu Ziyuan also flew over. Xie Daoyu, Wu Daoyu, don't panic. I, Lu Ziyuan, am here. He landed in front of the Golden Sand restaurant and took out a lower rank 5 puppet from his interspatial ring. He said with a smile, the Demon Flame sect is causing trouble in the market of the demon-slaying island. Are you looking down on the other sects? The leader of the devil cultivators sneered. It seems that the Golden Sand sect is determined to die with the Zhenhai sect. In that case, there's no need to give you a chance. Chapter 773. At this moment, Xie Qin received a message from An Lintao. He said with a smile, the sect master has ordered that the Golden Sand sect and the Zhenhai sect should stand together. We'll stand together for good or ill. Lu Ziyuan was overjoyed. The Golden Sand sect had officially entered the fray. The pressure on the Zhenhai sect was greatly reduced. The three cultivators from the Demon Flame sect snorted. Since the Golden Sand sect wants to die, don't blame us for being ruthless in the future. Xie Qin sneered. There's no need to wait. I'll let you know what it means to be ruthless now. The sect master and the Grand Elder have decided to keep the 3 of you. Wang Daoyuan liked An Lintao's decision. Since they were going to do it, they should go all out. Anyway, there was no room for reconciliation between the Golden Sand sect and the Demon Flame sect. Rather than letting these 4 go back and let them cause trouble again, it was better to be ruthless and keep them here to solve future problems. After all, these 3 were the ones who provoked them. It was reasonable for the Golden Sand sect to take them down. Although Wang Daoyuan didn't want to get involved in the power struggle, it was difficult for him to escape now. Even if he ran now, he would be hunted down by the demonic cultivators. Anyway, he had no family or job here. He could fight however he wanted. If he couldn't win, he could just leave. The demonic cultivators wouldn't send soul formation cultivators to hunt him down. The Demon Flame sect wasn't a big demonic cultivator force. They didn't have any soul formation cultivators. Although a peak nascent soul cultivator was strong, his concealment methods were enough to completely avoid being tracked. There were 3 of them on both sides. Lu Ziyuan's puppet could barely exert the strength of an early-stage Yuanying cultivator. The leader of the Demon Flame sect said disdainfully, "You outnumber us. We're no match for you, but it's not that easy to keep us here." Wang Daoyuan smiled. I can't keep too many of you. I can only keep 1. Lu Ziyuan also patted the puppet next to him. I can't keep too many either. I can only keep 1. Xie Qin's strength wasn't outstanding. I'm not strong, but it's not a problem to hold one of them back. I'll leave the killing to the 2 Daoyu. Since things had already gotten to this point, there was no point in delaying any longer. They had to make the best use of their time. Daoyu have come from afar, so our Golden Sand sect must also play host to you. Don't even think about leaving now that you're here. After saying that, he took the initiative to attack a demonic cultivator. Wang Daoyuan also brandished his halberd and attacked the leading devil cultivator. Relying on the divine beast's ability to restrain demonic cultivators, he could easily kill a mid-stage Yuanying demonic cultivator on the Fire Lotus Island. Even though it was a sneak attack, he would still be able to win in a head-on battle. Now, dealing with an early-stage Yuanying cultivator was even less of a problem. Although the leader of the demonic cultivators here was not weak, he was restrained by the divine beast's power. However, Wang Daoyuan was rushing towards him. He couldn't dodge even if he wanted to, so he could only brace himself and take it. He took out a heavy sword that looked like a door and swung it to meet the halberd head-on. This fellow's physical body was indeed not weak. The black dragon halberd clashed with the heavy sword. An ear-piercing sound rang out, and both of them retreated more than 30 feet. A few of the stone slabs under their feet were also crushed. This attack was considered a draw. The strength of Wang Daoyuan's fleshly body was built with the help of a huge amount of spirit flame essence. There were many cultivators who had plenty of resources, but a cultivator who had all 5 elements and 5 types of spirit flame was one of a kind. This demonic cultivator's physical strength was on par with his when they were at the same level. It seemed that this body tempering technique was not ordinary. His 2 companions were more lackluster. Xia Qin and one of the demonic cultivators fought back and forth. Together with his puppet, Lu Ziyuan completely suppressed the other demonic cultivator. The other 4 people were also surprised by the two's battle. The stone slabs on the street were all 5th-stage volcanic rocks. Although they had not been refined and were not as strong as Dharma artifacts of the same level, they were not easily broken. The leader of the demonic cultivators had a serious expression on his face. He propped up a blood-red protective qi barrier. Wang Daoyuan channeled a large amount of dragon qi into the black dragon halberd. The black dragon halberd was nourished by the dragon qi and emitted waves of dragon's might. Its hands had also turned into dragon claws. Since it was difficult to win with physical strength, he would rely on the divine beast's might to restrain the demonic cultivator. He swung his halberd again, and the demonic cultivator swung his sword to meet it. This time, both sides were not just competing with physical strength. They were also using their spiritual power. The demonic cultivator was restrained and was at a disadvantage. Under this attack, the demonic cultivator was pushed back 50 to 60 feet. More than 10 tiles were crushed under his feet. Wang Daoyuan did not move at all. This time, the demonic cultivator's face revealed a trace of fear. He had always been very confident in his physical body. Now that he was being suppressed by the means he was best at, he was a little dispirited. Kill him while he's down. Wang Daoyuan had finally defeated his opponent. Naturally, he would beat him while he was down. Once again, he pounced forward and swung his halberd. The demonic cultivator had not yet regained his footing and had no room to counterattack. He could only block the attack with his heavy sword. His footing was unstable, so he could not exert his strength. With a muffled sound, the demonic cultivator was sent flying and crashed heavily into a shop. Fortunately, the shopkeeper of this shop had foresight and had already activated the defensive array. When such a big guy crashed into the array, the entire array shook violently. Before he landed, Wang Daoyuan's halberd had already arrived. The demonic cultivator instantly turned into a streak of blood light, wanting to escape. Unfortunately, he was not fast enough. When the black dragon halberd touched him, the halberd left a bloody wound that was more than a foot long on his back. This method of escaping by turning into a streak of blood light was also a secret escape technique of the blood demon lineage. It was called blood escape. Wang Daoyuan had Shui Yan's blood demon clone, so he knew the pros and cons of blood escape very well. It was extremely fast, but it was not flexible enough. Moreover, it consumed blood essence and quintessential essence. Once caught up, it would be difficult to dodge the attack. Wang Daoyuan used his feather blade and condensed 300 silver feathers to attack the blood light. The feather blade's speed was not inferior to lightning techniques. A demonic cultivator of the same level could not escape with blood escape. When the demonic cultivator saw that the feathers were chasing him at an extremely fast speed and carried an aura that terrified him, he was greatly terrified. He immediately dispersed blood escape, and his body flickered with dazzling blood light. The 300 feathers attacked the blood light. A moment later, the blood light dissipated. The soft armor on the blood demon's body had been shattered into pieces, and there were many wounds on his body. However, these wounds were all superficial and did not injure his internal organs. However, this blood demon was very weak. His blood chi fluctuations were not as strong as ordinary cultivators of the same level. His spirit chi fluctuations were also very weak. It seemed that using blood escape and the blood light had consumed a lot of his spirit chi. Wang Daoyuan naturally would not let go of this heaven-sent opportunity. The shadow of a dragon appeared around him and quickly chased after him. The demonic cultivator wanted to dodge, but how could he escape from Wang Daoyuan when he had exhausted all his spirit chi? Wang Daoyuan caught up to him very quickly. Brandishing his halberd, he slapped his back. After the demonic cultivator fell to the ground, he immediately fainted. His blood chi and spirit chi were almost exhausted, and his spirit chi was relatively weak. Now, he did not have much spirit chi left in his yuanying. It was impossible for him to escape from his body, let alone self-destruct. In order to avoid future troubles, Wang Daoyuan lifted him up and searched for his yuanying. Then, the halberd pierced his dantian. Yuanying was killed while he was still unconscious. Wang Daoyuan took his universe ring and put away the corpse. This corpse was not completely useless. He could use it to test Lu Ziyuan. When the other two demonic cultivators saw that their strongest companion had been killed, they were no longer in the mood to continue fighting. Unfortunately, they were entangled with Lu Ziyuan and Xia Qin and could not escape. Wang Daoyuan used True Dragon Flight and appeared behind Xia Qin's opponent. This guy was much weaker. Before he could dodge, the black dragon halberd smashed into his back. His whole body fell to the ground with a dull thud. Xia Qin was quick to react. He immediately controlled his flying sword and attacked his opponent's dantian from behind. Even Yuanying was pierced by the sword. The demonic cultivator on Lu Ziyuan's side had already been pressed to the ground by the puppets. He also attacked from the side. The demonic cultivator was soon dead. Lu Ziyuan put away the demonic cultivator's corpse and smiled. Wu Daoyu is really capable. Blood Sea Daoist strength was at the top of the early Yuanying cultivators. Daoyu killed him in a head-on clash and was still unharmed. I'm afraid he is invincible among the early Yuanying cultivators. Chapter 774. Wang Daoyuan said humbly, Daoyu's praise is too much. I just happened to restrain him. If not for my technique restraining him, even if I won, would have been seriously injured. Lu Ziyuan smiled and said, Wu Daoyu's too humble. I also want to discuss something with you. My Zhenhai sect obtained some of the Imperial Regency's legacies and has some achievements in refining corpses and puppets. The corpses of these three fiendish cultivators are good materials for refining corpses. I want to use other things to exchange for the fiendish cultivators that Daoyu killed. What do you two Daoyu think? Wang Daoyuan understood that this Zhenhai sect was indeed famous. Both sides had already laid their cards on the table. For a refined corpse to have the combat power of a cultivator of the same level, it would need hundreds of years to nurture it. During this period, a lot of resources would be needed. The cultivators of the Zhenhai sect were not stupid. They would not make such a long-term investment when the sect was on the brink of destruction. Moreover, the corpse refinement technique was too simple. In the sea, one's strength would be limited. It was not worth the huge cost to refine them. In the puppet refining method that Wang Daoyuan obtained from the Seven Stars Mystic Realm, there was a special type of puppet called the corpse puppet. The Imperial Regency was proficient in the art of puppets. They had also obtained many legacies from the Seven Stars Mystic Realm. It was very likely that they had obtained the method to refine corpse puppets. This thing was made from corpses as the main material and was refined using the method of puppets. The things that were refined had the characteristics of both refined corpses and puppets. Refined corpses had strong bodies, but their methods were too simple. Puppets had many methods, but they could not grow continuously. They had high requirements for refining materials and consumed a lot of spirit stones. Corpse puppets inherited the refined corpse's ability to absorb corpse chi and death chi to grow continuously. Like puppets, they could also have many attack methods. The most important point was that the corpse puppet had extremely powerful strength right after it was refined. They were not like refined corpses, which needed many years of nurturing before they could fight with cultivators of the same level. The power of corpse puppets could come from spirit stones, corpse chi, and death chi. Newly refined corpse puppets did not have enough corpse chi and death chi. In order to unleash the power of a cultivator of the same level, one could only rely on spirit stones. The difficulty of refining corpse puppets was much higher than refining corpses and ordinary puppets. However, the effect it could bring to bear was much greater than the other two. The reason why the Xinhai sect wanted the corpses of the fiendish cultivators was most likely to make them into zombie puppets. Xia Qin smiled and said, "These two devil cultivators, one was killed by Elder Wu alone, and the other was also killed by him. As for how to deal with it, it will be up to Elder Wu." Wang Daoyuan thought for a moment, then said with a smile, "There's no use for me to keep the devil cultivator's corpse. If Dao Yu needs it, just take it." Lu Ziyuan hurriedly waved his hand. The Golden Sand sect was dragged into this because of the Xinhai sect. "If I were to take advantage of you now, I would be too ungrateful. Our Xinhai sect needs a large number of refined corpses to defend against the devil clan. In the future, after Dao Yu kills the devil cultivator, you can also sell the corpses to me. If Wu Dao Yu doesn't take my things, we won't be able to take the corpses of the devil cultivators you kill in the future." After hearing this, Wang Daoyuan understood what was going on. The Xinhai sect's ambition wasn't small. They didn't want to refine corpse puppets just to get through the current crisis, but to refine them in large quantities. From the looks of it, the Xinhai sect should have a huge amount of resources in their hands. They had a huge amount of resources, brilliant inheritances, and tens of thousands of years of foundation. For such a sect to be bullied by the Devil Flame sect, no matter how one looked at it, it seemed like a joke. Previously, they had guessed that the Xinhai sect didn't leave the Demon Islands and instead stayed here to cause trouble. Now, it seemed that this was indeed the case. The Imperial Regency had been defeated for thousands of years. As the backup left behind by the Imperial Regency, the Xinhai sect should have started refining corpse puppets long ago. The Xinhai sect's strength should be far greater than the Devil Flame sect's. Now that they were pretending to be like this, it was probably to fool others. In any case, they were going to screw over the Seven Stars Alliance, and it had nothing to do with him. Wang Daoyuan naturally couldn't be bothered with these trivial matters. It was good to have a chance to earn some resources. Since Dao Yu insists, then it would be impolite for me to refuse. I don't lack spirit stones or ordinary materials. The only thing I lack is wood essence to refine my natal Dharma artifact. I wonder if your sect has this thing? Hearing this, Lu Ziyuan looked troubled. The thing Wu Daoyu needs is really not easy to find. Wood essence isn't considered rare in the world, but it's usually hard to find. Even if you get a tier 5 one, you will quickly use it up. Now, you only have a tier 4 one. If you use it to exchange for the corpse of the Yuanying devil cultivator, Dao Yu will be at a disadvantage. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was a little excited. He was just casually asking, and he didn't expect that there really was one. Tier 4 wasn't bad. The wood attribute spirit vein in the space of the spirit pearl was already low-grade tier 5. Moreover, the density of the spirit energy it produced was still increasing. Before long, it would grow into a mid-grade tier 5 spirit vein. However, the scale of the spirit vein was too small, and it was still far from being able to produce wood essence on its own. If the tier 4 wood essence was infused, with the nourishment of a tier 5 spirit vein, it would grow to tier 5 in a short time. Tier 4 is also passable. It'll just take a bit more effort to refine it. To tell you the truth, I was worried about where to find this thing. Since Dao Yu has it, I naturally can't let it go. Lu Ziyuan smiled. In that case, Dao Yu, please wait for a moment. I'll go and get the E-wood essence. After saying this, he left and headed south. In the time it took to brew a cup of tea, he returned to this place. He took out a 5-inch long, 2-inch wide dark green crystal. This is the only remaining piece of E-wood essence in our Zhenhai sect. If it weren't for its low grade, it would have been used long ago. I really feel bad about exchanging this thing for the bodies of 2 Yuanying demonic cultivators. After saying this, he took out a pill bottle. Here are 10 nascent cultivating pills. Please accept them as compensation, Wu Daoyu. Wang Daoyuan didn't refuse. He accepted the items and handed the 2 demonic cultivator corpses to Lu Ziyuan. After taking the corpses, this guy quickly left. Wang Daoyuan and Xia Qin returned to the small courtyard behind the restaurant. Xia Qin asked, Elder Wu, don't you think that the Zhenhai sect is a bit strange? The Demon Flame sect can attack us at any time now. There's no time to refine the corpses. The Zhenhai sect's resources are already more than they can make ends meet. How can they have extra resources to refine corpses? Wang Daoyuan looked at him meaningfully. There was no shortage of smart people in this world. Elder Xia is indeed attentive. After all, the Zhenhai sect was once a subordinate force of the Imperial Regency. Many Imperial Regency cultivators have joined them. It's not surprising that they have some secret techniques. Besides, how can a force that has been passed down for tens of thousands of years not have any backup plans? It's useless to think about this now. The Demon Flame sect is likely to come for revenge. It's better to strengthen the defenses of the shop as soon as possible. Wang Daoyuan didn't point it out. It was useless for the Golden Sand sect to know about the Zhenhai sect and the Imperial Regency. The Golden Sand sect's strength wasn't enough to fill the gaps between the enemy's teeth. It was better to know nothing and build a good relationship with the Zhenhai sect. When the Imperial Regency was still around, they refined corpses and used living people to refine clones. However, they were still decent and never destroyed other forces for no reason. The Golden Sand sect and the Zhenhai sect got along well, so they probably wouldn't seek revenge. Besides, what did this have to do with him? Xia Qin was also a shrewd person. He immediately understood that the Zhenhai sect was hiding something. He also knew that with the Golden Sand sect's strength, they could only pretend to be ignorant. Therefore, he didn't ask any more questions. Wang Daoyuan left the small courtyard and returned to the earth fire room. The 5 elements essence had been gathered. Some were too low grade and there was too little fire essence, so he couldn't use it directly to perform the 3 treasures equipment nurturing technique for the time being. However, with the things in hand, there was no need to take risks. The rest was up to time. He connected the E-wood essence and the wood spirit vein and waited for them to fuse on their own. After the metal spirit vein fused with the hepta gold essence, the concentration of spirit chi increased greatly. Even the Tai golden flame had become a level 5 spirit fire. After the water spirit vein fused with the water spirit vein, the Gui water death flame also showed signs of advancement. Chapter 775. Both the water spirit vein and the Gui water death flame obtained great benefits, but it also brought a problem. The amount of water in the spirit spring derived from the Gui water death flame and the water spirit vein increased rapidly. Relying on spiritual plants to absorb it alone was not enough to completely consume the water. Yun-Yi, the fat cat, could only consume part of the yin qi and spiritual power. The water contained extremely strong yin qi. Ordinary spiritual plants and fish in the fish pond could not bear it at all. Wang Daoyuan also led the spring water to the north of the Gui water death flame, which was already close to the edge of the space of the spirit pearl. The doppelganger cleared out all the spirit plants in the vicinity and planted all the spirit plants that liked Yin energy in the spirit fields. The spring water was divided into several canals, used to irrigate the 7-leaf ghost face flower, demon soul grass and other things. The Huangquan willow also broke off its branches and planted more than 10 trees beside the canals. The spiritual plants that absorbed Yin Qi increased greatly, and the spring water was completely consumed. Even if there was more spring water in the future, the spiritual plants in the spiritual field could not fully absorb it, but there were countermeasures. He could dig a big pit at the edge of the space of the spirit pearl and gather a pool. The space of the spirit pearl had been expanding, and there was enough space to hold the water. The essence of the 5 elements had been found, and for a long time in the future, there was no need to go out and adventure. After killing Blood Sea spiritual master, his universe ring also fell into the hands of Wang Daoyuan. Among them, there was a 5th-level middle-grade heavy sword, a devil flame sect token, and more than 30,000 upper-grade spirit stones. There were a lot of elixirs, more than 10 nascent cultivating pills, and more than 25th-level blood essence strengthening pills to strengthen the body. Plus the elixirs he got before, Wang Daoyuan now had a lot of nascent cultivating pills in his hands. He did not need to go out recently, so he could cultivate well. Of course, the work of refining pills and refining weapons had not stopped. 4th-level upper-grade elixirs and magic weapons all needed a long time to nurture. During this nurturing time, he did not need to do anything, but he also did not dare to leave easily. At this time, it was still more suitable for cultivation. After refining the 4th-level upper-grade blood essence strengthening pill, Wang Daoyuan condensed a few pill patterns to nurture the elixir. After that, he did not have to worry much. He also took a nascent cultivating pill and meditated beside the fire eye. After forming the nascent soul, the spiritual energy seed fused into the Yuanying. Wang Daoyuan's control over these spiritual fires had also greatly increased. When he was not summoning the spiritual fires, they would obediently stay in Yuanying. It wasn't like before, where any fei that he ate would be instantly ignited by the rootless fire released by the spirit power seed. No matter what pill he ate, its medicinal properties were all burned away by the spiritual fire. Now that the flames were under his control, such a situation would no longer occur. After taking a nascent cultivating pill, he quickly refined it. A jade-colored energy that was a mixture of blood, spiritual sense, and spiritual energy slowly merged into his Yuanying. With the integration of this energy, the strength of Yuanying improved slightly. The power of this nascent cultivating pill was equivalent to 3 to 5 years of bitter cultivation for an ordinary cultivator. Even if Wang Daoyuan had the help of the spiritual energy seed, it would still take him half a year to achieve such results. On the other hand, refining this pill would only take a few days. After cultivating for a year, Wang Daoyuan's cultivation had improved significantly. He did not neglect the cultivation of his physical body either, and his strength could be considered to have improved slightly. While cultivating, he also used his spiritual sense to check the situation outside. During this year, the demon-slaying island market had been unusually quiet. After the Demon Flame sect's 3 early-stage Yuanying cultivators were killed, they only said that they would make the Zhenhai sect and the Golden Sand sect pay with blood. However, they did not do anything. It was probably because the 2 sects had joined forces. On the surface, their strength was not much weaker than the Demon Flame sects. If the Demon Flame sect fought head-on, not only would they not gain any advantage, but they might also suffer huge losses. During this year, there were no major conflicts between the 3 sections. However, the Demon Flame sect did not stop there. It was not worth it to do it personally, so they recruited itinerant demonic cultivators to harass the businesses of the 2 sections. The Golden Sand sect's businesses were harassed even more. However, most of the Golden Sand sect's businesses were near the Golden Sand Island. With An Lintao and Emol Yongping there, they did not suffer too many losses. The Demon Flame sect did not give up, and their harassment was increasing. The Golden Sand sect was only a secondary target. The Xinhai sect was the main target, so they were hit even harder. Other than the island where the sect was located, the other businesses could no longer operate normally. The Xinhai sect could not sit still anymore. Soon, they sent Lu Ziyuan to contact them. Wang Daoyuan had killed the Blood Sea spiritual master, so the Golden Sand sect paid more attention to him. The Xinhai sect did not dare to underestimate him either. Naturally, they could not ignore him when they were discussing matters. Wang Daoyuan arrived at Xie Qin's small courtyard. Lu Ziyuan was already waiting there. Seeing him come in, Lu Ziyuan cupped his hands and said, "Wu Daoyu's cultivation speed is really fast. It's only been a year, but you've made obvious progress. I'm afraid that in another 100 years, your cultivation will reach the mid-stage yuanying." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "Daoyu's praise is too much. I also relied on a large number of nascent cultivating pills. May I know why Daoyu is here?" Lu Ziyuan sighed. "Ever since the three of us killed 3 yuanying cultivators from the Demon Flame sect a year ago, the Demon Flame sect has not made any big moves in the past year. It's just that they keep recruiting rogue cultivators and have them harass the Xinhai sect's businesses. Now, in the core area of the myriad demon islands, several major forces are constantly fighting. There are a lot of rogue cultivators, so it's very easy for the Demon Flame sect to recruit them. Now, less than 20% of the Xinhai sect's businesses are still operating normally. If this continues, the Xinhai sect will collapse in a few decades without the Demon Flame sect doing anything." Xie Qin added, "The Golden Sand sect situation is similar to the Xinhai sect's. It's just that most of our businesses are near the Golden Sand Island, so the demonic cultivators and half-demons don't dare to run rampant, so the losses are still bearable. Daoyu must have come up with a countermeasure. Please tell us and let's discuss it together." Lu Ziyuan nodded in response. "Fellow Daoist Xie is indeed a straightforward person. I'm here to cooperate with the Golden Sand sect. Both sides will send out some yuanying cultivators to counterattack the Demon Flame sect. We've been defending passively for a long time, and sooner or later, there will be a big problem. Instead of passively taking a beating, it's better to take the initiative to attack and teach the Demon Flame sect a lesson." Wang Daoyuan asked, "The Demon Flame sect is not weak. Our two sects combined are still slightly weaker than them. It's already a bit difficult to defend, so how can we gain an advantage by attacking?" After learning that the Xinhai sect had a lot of hidden forces, Wang Daoyuan had always been on guard against them, afraid that they would fall into their trap. Lu Ziyuan waved his hand. "I know the strength of our two sections. Even if we go all out, we still won't have an advantage in a direct confrontation. Of course, we can't go head-to-head with the Demon Flame sect. This time, we're not going to attack the Demon Flame sect, but the rogue cultivators who are harassing our businesses. The Demon Flame sect's Demon Flame Island is about 70,000 miles southwest of the Demon Slaying Island. The Golden Sand sect is north of the Demon Slaying Island, and the Xinhai sect is east of the Demon Slaying Island. Therefore, the cultivators who are harassing our businesses are definitely not from the Demon Flame Island. We've also sent people to keep an eye on the Demon Slaying Island. The rogue cultivators who are attacking our businesses are also not from the Demon Slaying Island. After our investigation, we finally found where these rogue cultivators are staying. It's Drifting Cloud Island, about 50,000 miles northeast of the Demon Slaying Island. The Xinhai sect also sent people to Drifting Cloud Island to investigate the situation. The island doesn't have a unified defense formation. The only defense method is the defensive restriction of each cave residence. These rogue cultivators usually fight for themselves. They don't trust each other and can't work together. Once we send people to attack Drifting Cloud Island, we'll definitely beat them to a pulp. They won't be harassing our businesses for a while, and we'll have precious time to rest. Chapter 776. Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections to killing a few demonic cultivators and half-demons. If there was danger, he would flee. If there was no danger, he would continue to stay in the Golden Sand sect. There were as many materials for refining artifacts and pills as he wanted, and there was even a nascent cultivating pill every month. It would be a waste not to take these benefits. Wang Daoyuan didn't seem to care. Xiaofan replied, "This is a serious matter. I don't have the authority to make a decision. I'll report this to the sect master and grand elder, and they'll make the decision." Then, he took out his elder token and sent the news back to Golden Sand Island. And Lin Tao and Mo Yongping were discussing how to deal with the demonic cultivators and half-demons in a hall at the Golden Sand sect's mountain gate. Suddenly, Lin Tao's token lit up. He checked it. The Xinhai sect suggested that the two sects send out people to wipe out the demonic cultivators and half-demons on Drifting Cloud Island. This way, the demonic cultivators and half-demons should be able to have some peace for a few years. Mo Yongping was a bit worried. There must be a lot of demonic cultivators and half-demons on Drifting Cloud Island to be able to harass our two sections. Our Golden Sand sect can only send out 3 Yuanying cultivators at most. The Xinhai sect doesn't have many Yuanying cultivators on the surface, only 7 or 8 at most. It's still a bit risky to take down Drifting Cloud Island with this number of people. And Lin Tao sighed. We have no choice. In the past year, the harassment has been getting worse and worse, and the two of us are starting to feel powerless. If we don't take drastic measures to completely eliminate the demonic cultivators and half-demons harassment, we won't be able to last long. It won't be long before we end up like the Sea Suppression sect, unable to make ends meet. The Golden Sand sect isn't as rich as the Xinhai sect, so we can't afford it. If we succeed in this battle, we'll have a few decades to catch our breath. If we lose, the Golden Sand sect will just disband sooner. Guard Golden Sand Island well. If we lose, use the backup plan left behind by the founder. I'll take Duze with me. Elder Wu is powerful at Demon Slaying Island. He's probably not weaker than us. After all, he doesn't have any feelings for the Golden Sand sect. I'm afraid you won't be able to suppress him. Just let him go with you. Mo Yongping shook his head repeatedly. Absolutely not. You're about to break through to the late stage of Yuanying. You should focus on your cultivation. You're much stronger than me. Even if you lose, you'll have no choice but to use the backup plan left behind by the founder. That way, you'll have a greater chance of preserving the inheritance. How could he let the sect master do such a risky thing himself? The Xinhai sect was still the main force in wiping out Luyun Island. Whether you go or not, it won't affect your overall strength much. At this time, the most important thing is to protect the sect's legacy. Mo Yongping firmly disagreed, and Lin Tao didn't insist. Alright, you must stay alive. We've been supporting the sect for hundreds of years. As the senior brother, you can't be lazy and put all this heavy burden on me. Mo Yongping smiled and said, "Don't worry. When Master was still alive, I often traveled outside. I know very well what kind of people those demonic cultivators and half-fiends are. Most of the opponents on Drifting Cloud Island were in the early Yuanying stage, and there were quite a few in the late Golden Core stage. With their strength, it's impossible for them to take me down." And Lin Tao nodded and sent a message to Xiaofan on Demon Slaying Island. After receiving the message, Xiaofan smiled and said, "The sect master and grand elder both agreed to help." Lu Ziyuan's face lit up. "Good, how many people can your sect send? Xiaqin replied, 3 people. Lu Ziyuan smiled and said, I'll report to the sect master now. Then, he got up and left. Xiaqin was a little embarrassed. He asked Wang Daoyuan, Elder Wu, the Grand Elder is leading the team to wipe out Drifting Cloud Island this time. Elder Du is also participating. I'll take charge of Demon Slaying Island. You'll go with the Grand Elder to Drifting Cloud Island. Guest elders were called elders, but they were actually high-level fighters. In such a situation, they naturally had to be put to good use. For Wang Daoyuan, going to Drifting Cloud Island was equivalent to picking up resources. He smiled and said, it's okay. Killing a few demonic cultivators is just a piece of cake. Xiaqin still felt that he had mistreated Wang Daoyuan. After all, he had already helped to kill 2 cultivators from the Demon Flame sect. The Golden Sand sect didn't do him any great favors, but he had risked his life for the sect twice. The next day, Lu Ziyuan came to the Golden Sand restaurant again. When he saw Wang Daoyuan and Xiaqin, he cupped his fists and said, our sect master's intention is that in order to prevent the news from being leaked, we will depart from different directions and meet at the Crouching Tiger Reef 3,000 li west of Drifting Cloud Island. This matter should be done sooner rather than later. We'll meet at Crouching Tiger Reef in 3 days. Xiaqin nodded. No problem. I'll report to the sect master now. After half a cup of tea's time, he received a reply from the sect master. Xiaqin read it and smiled. The sect master has agreed. We'll meet at Crouching Tiger Reef in 3 days. Lu Ziyuan left with satisfaction. Wang Daoyuan also returned to the Earth Fire Room and packed up his things. When going out on an adventure, one must be prepared to run away at any time. If he lost a battle, he would run away immediately. In any case, the Golden Sand sect didn't have anything like a soul lamp, only a guest elder token. As long as he destroyed the token, the Golden Sand sect would think that he had died in battle. They might even set up a memorial tablet for him in the ancestral hall. 2 days later, Wang Daoyuan greeted Xiaqin and left Devil Slaying Island. Then, he drove the Grade 4 flying ship and headed east. In order to hide, he controlled the speed. It took him half a day to arrive at Crouching Tiger Reef. At this time, there were already people waiting on Crouching Tiger Reef. These people all had the same aura as Lu Ziyuan. It seemed that it was because of their cultivation techniques. This meant that the Yuanian cultivators of the Zhenhai sect all cultivated the Imperial Regency's cultivation techniques. This Zhenhai sect was actually the Imperial Regency's Myriad Demon Islands branch. There were 7 people on Crouching Tiger Reef. There were 2 mid-stage Yuanian cultivators and 5 early-stage Yuanian cultivators. Lu Ziyuan was among them. Seeing that Wang Daoyuan had arrived, Lu Ziyuan hurriedly went up to greet him. Wu Daoyu has a strong physical body and is quite powerful. This time, we will have to rely on Daoyu. Then, he led him to 2 mid-stage Yuanian cultivators and introduced him. This is Elder Qi, and this is Elder Li. Elder Qi had a small figure. He wore a loose robe and a veil on his face, only revealing his eyes. There was a strong corpse and death aura on his body. He should be a zombie refiner. Elder Li had a medium build and wore a white robe. He had a fiery aura unique to weapon refiners. Wang Daoyuan greeted the 2 of them. Elder Qi remained silent. Elder Li, on the other hand, was full of smiles. Elder Wu is indeed extraordinary. To be able to kill Blood Sea Spiritual Master, your strength is probably not below Elder Qi and me. Wang Daoyuan also smiled and said, Elder Li, you flatter me. My cultivation is still too low. The reason why I was able to kill Daoist Blood Sea was because of my cultivation technique. My true strength is still lacking compared to the 2 elders. Elder Qi was silent. His eyes were fixed on Wang Daoyuan as if he was looking at prey. Wang Daoyuan became wary of Elder Qi. This guy most likely saw his strong physical body and wanted to capture him to refine into a corpse puppet. This made him more determined to escape. The Imperial Regency had many tricks up their sleeves. It would not be good to be targeted by them. At this moment, a fourth-grade flying ship came from the northwest and landed on Crouching Tiger Reef. Mo Liangping and Du Zhe came down from the flying ship and greeted everyone. Elder Li cupped his hands. Elder Mo, we have not seen each other for many years. In the early years, before we broke through the Yuanying realm, we traveled together. Now, we can finally fight side by side. Mo Liangping sighed. 400 to 500 years have passed in a flash. There are not many Daoyu left. It is not easy to get the chance to fight side by side today. Like before, Brother Li has the final say on how to fight. In that case, I will not be polite. We have already sent out spirit insects to investigate the situation on Drifting Cloud Island. It will not be too late to make a move when the spirit insects return. After a quarter of an hour, buzzing sounds could be heard. It was as if there were tens of thousands of spirit insects flapping their wings. Chapter 777. Wang Daoyuan probed with his divine sense and saw countless spirit insects flying over. These spirit insects were the size of rice grains and looked a little like ladybugs. They were pitch black and carried yin qi. Their cultivation levels were not high. They were all low-grade Tier 3. However, their flying speed was even faster than the soul-chasing bees. The soul-chasing bee king had already reached high-grade Tier 3 and had not broken through. A small number of ordinary soul-chasing bees had broken through to mid-grade Tier 3, but most of them were still low-grade Tier 3. Even those mid-grade Tier 3 soul-chasing bees were only slightly faster than late-stage golden core cultivators. However, the spirit insects in front of him were as fast as early-stage Yuanying cultivators. Even a Tier 5 flying ship could not beat these spirit insects. An early-stage Yuanying cultivator of the Zhenhai sect waved his hand and gathered the spirit insects. This cultivator communicated with the spirit insects for a few minutes and said, "There are 23 Yuanying cultivators on Drifting Cloud Island. Among them, there are 5 mid-stage Yuanying cultivators. The rest are early-stage Yuanying cultivators. There are no late-stage Yuanying cultivators. There are no traces of a large array formation on the island. It's just that it's surrounded by clouds and mist, so it's not easy to find enemies. However, my ghost insects are good at finding enemies. Few below the soul formation realm can avoid detection." Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was a little vigilant. The ghost insects could detect the traces of cultivators below the soul formation realm. He wondered if he could avoid detection with the black demon robe and the hidden devil art. Elder Qi had evil intentions toward him. If he had the ghost insects, it would be difficult to escape. Elder Li stroked his beard and smiled. In that case, Martial Nephew Soul Slayer will point out the targets. Everyone, Daoyu, we have the situation on Drifting Cloud Island under control. Although we are at a disadvantage in numbers, our individual strength is stronger. Most of these fiendish cultivators and half-demons were itinerant cultivators. They might not be our match in a one-on-one battle. We can also use the ghost insects to defeat them one by one. Of course, he was just cheering everyone on. For a rogue cultivator to be able to cultivate to the nascent soul stage, his strength was not necessarily weak. Their cultivation methods and spells might not be brilliant, but they definitely had a lot of insidious and strange tricks. Elder Li took out a 5th-grade flying boat. The cultivators of the Zhenhai sect boarded the flying boat and headed east. Wang Daoyuan also boarded Mo Liangping's flying boat and followed closely behind. The Drifting Cloud Island was relatively small, less than 1,000 miles in length from north to south and 300 to 400 miles in width from east to west. On the island, there was a mid-grade Tier 5 water spirit vein. There were also a few hot springs that produced a large amount of mist. About 80% of Drifting Cloud Island was covered by clouds and mist. If someone was hiding in the clouds, it would not be easy to find them with ordinary methods. The two flying ships soon arrived at the northern end of the island. According to Venerable Soulslayer's investigation, there should be a mid-stage Yuaniing cultivator and 2 early-stage Yuaniing cultivators here. There were 10 Yuaniing cultivators here, so it wasn't difficult for them to get rid of these people first. Everyone retracted their auras and left the flying ship. They quietly approached the cave abodes of the 3 Yuaniing itinerant cultivators. Mo Liangping, Elder Qi, and Elder Li would naturally deal with the mid-stage Yuaniing cultivator. Wang Daoyuan, Du Zhe, and Lu Ziyuan would deal with the early-stage Yuaniing cultivator. The 3 of them arrived at the entrance of a cave abode. Elder Li transmitted his voice and ordered everyone to attack together. There was no time to slowly break the formation in this kind of sneak attack. Lu Ziyuan took out a gray pearl. Under the activation of his spirit power, it emitted a gray light that shone on the formation at the entrance. The flow of spirit power in the formation rapidly slowed down. He transmitted his voice to Wang Daoyuan, Wu Daoyu, I've already suppressed this formation. It can't withstand a single attack from a mid-stage Yuaniing cultivator. I'll leave the rest to you. Wang Daoyuan took out his black dragon halberd and smashed it at the defensive formation at the entrance with all his might. With a loud bang, the cave abode's formation shattered. The 2 stone doors were also sent flying. Du Zhe was a little rash. He cast a defensive spell, propped up his protective aura, took out a shield, and rushed in. Wang Daoyuan and the Zhenhai sect cultivators followed closely behind. The cave abode was suddenly smashed open, and 3 cultivators of the same level barged in. The itinerant cultivators in the cave abode were a little stunned. Of course, the Yuaniing cultivator reacted very quickly. He took out a long sword and was about to attack. Wang Daoyuan exerted strength in his legs and rushed forward with his halberd. The nascent soul cultivator was caught off guard by the sudden sneak attack. He only had time to take out a shield and cast his protective aura. He was not a physical cultivator. He took Wang Daoyuan's attack head-on and was sent flying. The shield was not bad. It was not damaged at all after being hit by the black dragon halberd. The itinerant cultivator crashed into the cave abode's stone wall and was bounced back down. After this exchange, he knew that he was no match for him. He instantly turned into a cloud of black smoke and fled out of the cave abode. This was the Yin demon's escape technique. It was not easy to chase after him. Wang Daoyuan was about to use his feather blade and Lu Ziyuan took out a golden rope. After injecting spiritual power, the rope shone with a dazzling golden light. At the same time, it emitted an extremely rich dragon aura. It looked like it was refined from the dragon tendons of a flood dragon. It was easy to use this thing against a fiendish cultivator. The golden rope wrapped around the black smoke and tightened. After a while, the black smoke dissipated. A tied-up itinerant cultivator fell to the ground. He struggled with all his might, but the more he struggled, the tighter the rope became. Lu Ziyuan mocked, "Don't waste your energy. This rope is refined from the dragon tendons of 5 flood dragons. It's easy to tie up a mid-stage Yuaniing blood fiendish cultivator. You're just a Yin demon with a weak body. There's no way you can break free." With that, he lifted the fiendish cultivator and the 3 of them walked out of the cave abode together. At this time, the other 2 groups had also finished off their opponents. However, the commotion had alerted the other itinerant cultivators. Soon, a loud shout came from the south. "Who dares to cause trouble on Drifting Cloud Island?" They had taken down 3 Yuanying fiendish cultivators and a mid-stage Yuanying cultivator with a sneak attack. It was not a loss. Since they had been exposed, they had no intention of hiding anymore. The 3 mid-stage Yuanying cultivators flew into the air and attacked the person who had shouted. Elder Qi also took out a mid-stage 5th-grade refined corpse. Elder Li also took out a mid-stage 5th-grade puppet. Mo Liangping was a little shabbier. He could only take out a long sword and a shield. The person who had shouted also realized that something was wrong. He shouted, "The Zhenhai sect is attacking us." With that, he used his escape technique to escape. The group of early-stage Yuanying cultivators also attacked. Wang Daoyuan felt uneasy, as if his life was in danger. When cultivators reached the golden core stage, they would sometimes have a premonition of impending danger. When one reached the Yuanying stage and had a deeper understanding of the laws, this premonition would be more accurate. Being uneasy meant that danger was about to happen. It was just that he was uneasy, but not to the extent that he felt that disaster was imminent. This meant that it was not extremely dangerous. Of course, he had to be careful. Wang Daoyuan prioritized self-preservation. He would never face any fiendish cultivator or half-demon alone to avoid being noticed by an expert. Although Du Zhe was reckless, he was not stupid. He kept following Wang Daoyuan. The two of them chased after a half-demon with a mouth full of sharp teeth and not a single hair on his head. This fellow's skin was grayish-white and looked a little like a shark. He probably had the bloodline of a shark. However, his fighting strength was only a so-so. Wang Daoyuan did not use his full strength, but he still managed to beat this fellow into a pulp. Although there were more fiendish cultivators and half-demons, the cultivators of the Zhenhai sect could not be counted as a single person. These cultivators had refined corpses, spirit beasts, and puppets. They could be used as 2 or even 3 people. In addition, the mid-stage Yuanying cultivators had the advantage in numbers. Wang Daoyuan chased after the half-demon for the time it took to brew a cup of tea. Not only did his uneasiness not disappear, but it also worsened. He wanted to play dead and escape immediately. At that moment, a burst of laughter came from outside the island. "Brats of the Zhenhai sect, you've been tricked." Then, laughter came from all sides of the island. They seem to have been surrounded. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.